You see the final score. We track the revenue stream. Welcome to the show that treats the sports world like the multi-billion-dollar business it is. We dissect the ownership deals, the television right battles, the NIL impact, and the media figures driving the entire narrative. From Wall Street to the locker room, we follow the money and the people who control the message. Welcome to Press Row, the business of sports, right here on the Empty the Bench Network. Now, here's your hosts, Callan McClurg and Nick Morgasen.
On strike! We're going on strike! I still don't know what strike means, but we're going on a strike!
Hello again, my friends. Good to see you again here. You know, it's bad timing when Nick and I are coming on here. 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time on March 11th, 9:01 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesday, March 10th. Another Code Red edition of Press Row as we continue, folks, to follow the never-ending marathon that is the WNBA seeding negotiations on this Tuesday, March the 10th, 2026. Nick Morgasen, along as always from Plainview, New York. Callan McClurg here in San Diego. Nick, we have tried to figure out, though, the proper way to go about this, because this was going to be this really is a Code Red episode of Press Row, because the midnight hour has hit here, and we are looking to get some information here over the next, I'd say, 2 to 3 hours before we get to our regular scheduled programming on Wednesday morning/afternoon, though. But obviously, Nick, we're at day number 161 of the WNBA lockout here today. We have been trying to get as much information as we can, though. They are still right now, per reports as of the hour, still negotiating over in New York City, in Manhattan. We have Annie Costabel following her social feeds, along with Alexa Philippou this evening. But, Nick, bit of a very, very quiet evening on the home front so far for the W.
Yeah, by the way, close to 200 people already watching us as we bring you this WNBA. I can't call it a strike yet because we haven't heard any news. So the title's not a lie. We're not clickbaiting, because that's where we're essentially heading right now, that it looks like there's going to be a strike one way or the other. And there, we're over 200 people watching. Thank you to everybody who's watching. But this has been a long-running story on Press Row since we started this show back up, or you started this show back up, and I came along for the ride, and we've been doing well ever since. This is a weird time for the WNBA when it comes to trying to figure out what the deal is right now currently with the league between the owners, Cathy Engelbert. You're going to hear that name a lot, the commissioner of the WNBA, who Callan and I can't stand, and the players, and I think her name is Terry Jackson. She's the head of the Players Association. And a lot of talking has been going on. When we last left you on our last episode, our regular episode, we talked about how there was some arguments, some miscommunication going on between Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier and a bunch of the other hi Christy. Yes, the strike is inevitable. But there was a fight going on between the players and Terry Jackson, who's running the Players Association, which is not good. It's not a good look when the players and the head of the association are fighting. This kind of reminds me of what's going on in Major League Baseball right now with what's happening where Tony Clark did something illegal. I can't say illegal. Let me take that back. But did something inappropriate while being the head of the Players Association, which led to some turmoil between the players and the head of the association. This is a little different. The ownership, the WNBA, Cathy Engelbert, they don't want to hear anything from a negotiation standpoint. They keep telling, and Cathy has come out multiple times and has said, take our deal. It's the best value for you guys. You're going to make money. Cathy, how do you know that? How do you know that?
You
How
don't.
do you know? How do you know it's a good deal for the players? You're not willing to budge on anything. The owners are not willing to budge on anything. I think the highest they were willing to go was what, 15% on revenue
Sounds
share.
about right. Yes.
So how is that fair to the players when the players are doing most of the work?
It is. And with that in mind, folks, here's where we stand right now. We right now are kind of in a way monitoring Twitter via Annie Costabel of FOS. We're also looking at Alexa Philippou of ESPN.com. They, by the way, have been boots on the ground for the last 7 hours since the meeting first began. There was confirmation from, I believe, either Annie or Alexa that the meeting was about half an hour late starting, which, by the way, Nick, I think the WNBA themselves a disservice. First of all, why is this meeting, Nick, happening at 5 o'clock Eastern time or 8 o'clock Eastern time in the evening, the day that the lockout is hitting the deadline day? This should have been going on since like bright and early this morning back there, not right now.
You want to know why the meeting is happening now?
Can only
Because
imagine.
because the W is doing everything to make the players look bad. Think about, do you remember when we talked about the deadlines, like when Unrivaled was coming out? Remember one of the deadlines was on when the Unrivaled season was taking place to get started?
Yes.
Come on, it's a strategic placement by the W trying to threaten the players to say either you take our deal or we're going to lock you guys out. And I find this funny in professional sports, not just the WNBA. But the owners can lock you out, but the players really have no equal power when they feel like they're being leveraged against. Now, they could go on strike, and that's probably what's going to end up happening at this point in time. But the players don't want to go on strike. They want nothing to do
Absolutely
with
not.
a strike. What is the league and what do the players have to gain by going on strike right now currently, except for that the owners are being assholes towards the players, not willing to budget, give them a little bit more value that they deserve in this scenario?
Yeah, so no updates yet, it looks like, via any of the WNBA sources that I follow on Twitter. By the way, thanks to the 290 people who are joining us again. We're trying, folks, our best to piece together this giant, jigsaw puzzle. So if you have questions, comments, or concerns, though, again, we're here for the next 2.5 to 3 hours, though, until we finally hear something. Again, we're waiting for more confirmation, more news to come out, though. We have a bunch of questions that we're going to try to, answer in some capacity over our time here. But if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, again, please do not be bashful. Use the live chat box on YouTube or on Twitter. We'll do our best to make sure that we get to your commentary here this evening / early morning on the East Coast. Again, as I usually say, though, it's usually not a good thing when Nick and myself are on here for Press Row away from our Wednesday schedule. We'll have more, though, folks, on Wednesday at, again, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, concerning what more we can bring you from tonight here on the West Coast and over in New York. But of course, Nick, we have gone past midnight on the East Coast, and despite a weekend of handshake hopes and frantic proposal exchanges, there is still a chance of the WNBPA officially enacting their authorization to strike, which would mark the first time in the league's 30-year history that a work stoppage has ever happened, as 80% of the league is currently in free agency, and 2 new teams are waiting to build their rosters for the season. The season that is set for May 8th is still right now in jeopardy, barring anything that does drop over the next 2+ hours. But of course, Nick, the main thing that we talked about, though, a lot on Press Row over the last several days and weeks has been the so-called drop dead date of March 10th here. Now, again, I know it's March 11th on the East Coast, though. But, Nick, with them, though, using that drop dead date of the 10th, now officially in the rearview mirror on the East Coast, is it now realistic if, in fact, that the players do, in fact, walk away tonight, early tomorrow morning in your neck of the woods without some deal in place, that now it feels like the start of a season becomes impossible to save and rescue?
I don't know how they say. Well, I'm not going to say they can't salvage any of the season because that would be an unordinary task to really predict. We saw this again. I'm using examples. You're going to have to bear with me because I'm going to use examples from other sports that we've dealt with in lockouts. When we had the MLB lockout, I think in 2020, during the COVID stuff and all that stuff, where I think we lost about a month or 2. We only played 100 games. essentially, of the 100.
We played 60, so we
Or
lost
60.
100. We lost
Yeah.
102 games off the schedule.
But it took an arm and a leg to get through those negotiations. If you remember, we almost didn't have a season.
Right.
Because the owners were crying poverty over not getting enough games on the schedule. If you remember that, the owners wanted 100 games on the schedule. And I think the players were just like, we're not doing it or whatever. And because it's going to cost us too much money to get our stadiums up and running. And I find it funny in these type of negotiations where you have billionaires. This is a classic billionaires versus millionaires debate going on right now currently, where the billionaires are bitching and moaning. The millionaires, not even millionaires. You can't even call them millionaires. They're not millionaires. They're being way undervalued. And for the first time in my life, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Angel Reese actually said some things that were correct. What? Okay? You're not going to hear me say that very often. Now, if you want to pull that statement up, because there is one thing I do want to address that she did say that I did not like.
Let me go and find it.
But she was talking about how, they're making $70,000, $75,000, which, again, that's more than most people, than the average person makes. But she was talking about and bitching and moaning about how I can't live my standard way of life. Well, what standard of life are you living over the means of $70,000 or $75,000 if that's what you're making? That's the problem I have. Everything else she said, I thought was actually pretty spot on when it came to pay us, you're not valuing us. I think that they're hitting it right on the head when it comes to that.
Yeah, I can't see. I'm not able to find it right now, and also Twitter's making my computer lag a little bit here. But I think, though, Nick, that you're right. That kind of, in a way, it feels like, though, that the W, in a way, wanted to put the players in a box. And when I say that, I mean that accept the terms and the conditions by the state, or you risk losing games. Now, I think to your point, though, as well, the COVID season for baseball had their own delay of roughly, I think, 3 months because of where the virus was. They were in spring training. They went back to the drawing board. How do we go about playing this season, so on and so forth. Then, though, Nick, 21-22, I think 22, there was another lockout of 99 days that, of course, hindered the start of that baseball season. But they picked it up, though, where I think, Nick, whatever games were missed, which I think was only a couple of weeks, like about a week of games, they got made up at the very end of the season.
All right, quick update. Annie Constable from FOS 2 minutes ago. Hour 8, feeling great. Both sides still meeting. This is unbelievable. 8 hours sitting in a boardroom?
Ooh.
And by the way, I see people, and I respect every comment that's put on social media because she's doing a hard job being stuck in the WNBA, WNBPA offices wherever they are. And some people are saying, "Oh, the longer it goes, that's better for the players." How? That just means they can't come to an agreement if they're sitting in an office for 8 hours.
Yeah. Ugh.
I don't buy that for a second.
I don't either.
And it's just funny, like, as people are tweeting left and right, like they know the negotiations that are going on. But if they're sitting in a room for 8 hours, that means that they're either at an impasse or a stalemate, and they can't figure out what each side wants in this situation. We've talked about this. The revenue sharing is one of the biggest problems they are having. The housing is one of the biggest issues they are having currently. They're not being paid enough. The salaries are not high enough for some of these players to be made to make a living. Now, again, I'm not reaching into these players' pockets, but most of these players are making what, 70,000, 80,000.
I think Angel even said on her podcast she's only getting 74,000.
I mean, let's be careful with the word only, because some people would die to make $75,000 a year. So that's where I had an issue slightly with part of her statement that she's complaining, oh, we're only making $75,000. You realize that's more than the average person in the U.S. that you're making money over. I don't know. And then the whole story we talked about Cameron Brink, who was making what, $6,500 a month, and she was paying $7,000 a month for a private chef.
Yes.
If you can't afford it, don't buy it. Don't buy it. If it's above your means of living, don't buy it. And I mean that seriously.
Definitely, for sure. Just trying to see if we got anything else going on here right now. So 8 hours in right now in New York. We can confirm that the players that are there, Nick, I believe we were told, is Nneka Ogwumike, Brianna Stewart, along with Brianna Turner, and there is one more player alongside Kathy Engelbert and two members of the WNBA Commissioner's Office in the upper brass per reports.
This is the problem. Like, we're in a situation where the two sides are staring at one another, and they're like, all right, who's going to blink first? Who's going to give in? And the funny part is the players have given in way more than the owners have in concessions-wise.
They have made a lot of changes, and they have scaled back a lot of their demands in a way, or what they have for proposals. And now it's like, if you keep doing that, you're not getting anywhere.
You're not getting anywhere. It's a problem. And I don't know how you fix it. I don't know how to. There's only so much you can say before it just leads to a strike, and it leads to bad situations to the point of we're just not going to have a WNBA season.
It's only getting worse, or it's only going to get worse, sadly, at this rate. So with that, Nick, we also know that it got a little testy leading up to tonight. When I say that, though, Nick, we talked a bit at length last Wednesday of the joint letter between Brianna Stewart and Kelsey Plum that kind of said that, hey, we as players don't feel like we have a seat at the table. But then there's also, Nick, some rumblings and reporting that there was some infighting going on. You know, players were not all on the same page when it came to certain things. And it got a little bit interesting, or a little bit hairy, I'd say, from their perspective, too. And I even think it even led to a response by the players towards Terry Jackson as well at some point last week.
Yeah. I mean, by the way, thank you to everybody as the number continues to climb. We are over 400 people watching this stream right now. But the infighting is bad, as you continue to say. How do we fix if you're infighting, how do you expect to take down the W and take down the owners and take down Kathy if you can't stop your own internal fighting? And also, when that letter came out from Stewie and Nafisa Collier, first of all, I don't know how that letter got leaked. I think that was supposed to be a private letter.
I mean, you would think, but sadly, Nick, with how things are now in our industry, things leak out all the damn time, sadly.
But I don't think that letter was ever supposed to be public. I think that was I almost want to say that was a little bit of a strategically planned move by whoever had the letter, trying to say, hey, we need to make these shitty negotiations move forward. We're not getting anywhere. We're spinning on a hamster wheel, just saying the same thing back and forth to one another. We're not going to get anything done if we continue to act like a bunch of kids stealing each other's lunch money like the bully.
That's a good way to put it.
Both sides are acting like bullies. Both sides think they have leverage. And this is going to sound weird for the first time, but I think that the players have more leverage than the owners do currently.
I could not agree more right now. And, you know, that's where things stand at this rate. I mean, my goodness gracious. I mean, as you said, though, folks, again, we are trying our best to rely on sources here again. But again, there's been a very much a small, very slow delay of information. Again, literally, folks, we have been hearing from Annie Costabel and from Alexa Philippou. They're literally sitting on like Walmart chairs outside of the hotel. People have been coming by and giving them like cookies and coffee to stay awake and do their job. They've had to like take turns going to get food. So information has been very, very slow coming forward, though. I don't know, Nick, if we have anything else off the wire right now that we can report on, but that's where things are at right now with all the writers covering this entire ordeal.
Yeah, I mean, Annie's the only one. I haven't seen anything from Alexa Phillip, who has a rate. She's been doing a really good job. She, about 2 hours ago, posted a picture of them basically sitting on the street, essentially, in camping chairs. Like those unfoldable.
I have the picture of that. Let's put that up here real quick so we can show the audience the hard work being done by those trying to cover this WNBA lockout stuff right now.
There we go. It's crazy.
There you go. It's crazy.
And people are probably looking at them and saying, what the hell are these people doing sitting outside the office? That's called being the life of a reporter, to be quite honest with you. I don't know, but anyone, 426 people, 427 people watch out there right now as the number continues to grow. Tell us your thoughts on what you're thinking about the WNBA. We'll take questions as we continue to go through this for the next like hour and a half or so, 2 hours.
Just keep it inside the lines is all we ask.
Yeah. Hey, if you have an opinion about the WNBA, sure. We'll listen to it. But don't be offensive to women is all I ask. Please do not. If you have an opinion about how they're acting as business people, all for it. I go nuts. You want to talk to them about as business people, but let's try not to make this a sexist thing because it's not. And we'll take questions. All right. What do we got here? The WNBA is already a propped up, subsidized failure. It will fold.
But Ronnie, I don't say that too loudly to Kathy Engelbert because she does not view, as Nick and I have said since April, she does not view Unrivaled, Project B, or Athletes Unlimited to be a competitor to the WNBA, which we think is a load of horse manure.
Yeah, I mean, Ronnie, I think you're right on some aspects of this comment that it is partially subsidized. Callan, you and I already knew that it's subsidized by it's more than subsidized by the NBA. The NBA owns what, 60% of it at least?
I think that sounds about right. Maybe 70. That might be pushing it though.
But they pay the bills essentially.
Yeah, it's way over 50% ownership by the NBA.
So Ronnie is right in a sense that they are subsidized, but they still have to run their own budgets and they still have to run their own billing, even though the NBA would have to bail them out if issues were to persist. But let's be careful about one thing, that this thing that we keep hearing, oh, well, if we give more revenue share to the WNBA players, they're going to be in the red and they're going to be $80 million in debt. I don't know where that came from.
Right.
Okay. All leagues, professional leagues, are private entities, which means they don't have to share their financial numbers. It's not like on the stock market. If you have a public company and you have to share the financials of everything you're doing, and it's just one of those situations where Ronnie, I agree with you, it's subsidized, but at the same time, the owners have to come to the table and pay the players, or else it's not worth it for them at a certain point to play. All right.
Yeah, Ronnie, thanks for the commentary. Black Widow 2891 says a lot of teams are making profits. It's not the team's fault that Kathy doesn't know how to run the league, pay the players.
100%. I think this is right. A lot of teams are making profits. And Black Widow, I'll say to you, and we talked about this, Callan, last episode of Press Row, that the trigger for revenue sharing hit last week when we did the show. $8 million of revenue
$8 million worth of revenue sharing was triggered last week per the reports that we have gathered from our sources.
So when the W says that they couldn't afford to give more money, I'm sorry, when you trigger revenue sharing, that means what? That means you're making money. That means you have enough to trigger revenue sharing, which means you have enough to pay the players. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that in a way, though, Widow's commentary is so right, though, Nick, because the last part, though, of the comment from Widow goes to my video on socials that got, blew up our TikTok and IG feeds again from the summer during the weekend of the All-Star game. Now, yes, was there some tomfoolery about they were drunk going to the meeting after they were out partying and celebrating, going to the, being all-stars for it. Sure. But then the pay us what you owe us shirts, obviously, I think, got eyeballs on what was going on. And obviously the video I put out, body slammed me, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, though. Again, everyone's entitled to their opinions, though, about where things were at that time, though. But that's where I think Widow's right, though, that the players need or deserve to be paid what they are, because, Nick, I don't think, though, that we're sitting here today or tomorrow morning on the East Coast, or still on Tuesday on the West Coast where I'm at. I don't think we're sitting here right now on the day where we're supposed to hear about the strike or the lockout going forward, with two new teams right now sitting on their hands and maybe like hoping and praying for a Christmas miracle in March so they can launch their teams in Toronto and Portland.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the issue with the CBA. And this is why I think the WNBA is trying to play bully ball, because they want to get those two teams in, because they know that's going to make them more money when they put two more teams in. So they're playing a game of chicken against the players, but they only want it at their price, not to benefit or compensate the players when it comes to doing these things, which is not right. But Kathy, who's making the money for the league? It's not the owners. The owners are not the value proposition of the league. The players are the value proposition of this league. If it wasn't for Caitlin Clark, your league would not be as good as it is now. Now, that's not saying there's not a ton of other amazing players in this league. We could go down a whole list. We were talking about Asia Wilson before. We were talking about Brianna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, on and so forth. There are so many players that make this league what it is. Okay?
So we have a follow-up, Nick, from Widow. They say, I am a current Mercury season ticket holder. I am hoping for a season, but if they must strike, I am all for it. Fire Kathy and start over.
Well, you and I have been on that train for how long now?
Since April of last year, when I joined ETB on draft night, when we heard the phony baloney remarks, oh, we don't view Unrivaled as a rival league or a competitor.
I'm just curious, Black Widow, because you say you were a Phoenix Mercury season ticket holder. Like, are you, well, and I'll ask you, Callan, because you would know better than me. Is there going to be refunds on games missed?
I would hope to hell there is, especially if Black Widow 2891's been a season seat holder since the first season in 97, nearly 30 years ago. I would hope that there would be some kind of ticketing plan in place for in case of emergency break glass scenario where that does happen. Widow, I would actually love to hear more if you were at the final game against the Aces, where the Aces won the title. So there will be a complete refund if no season per ticket reps. Okay, that's good to hear. But I would, though, Widow, like to hear a bit more, though, from you. If you could talk about the atmosphere of, obviously, the losing the title, but also the collective, how can I phrase it? The collective atmosphere from the fans towards Kathy Engelbert, because Nick and I were actually watching the final game on our old platform. And I was really wondering, and I even told people before the game went to break, after the Aces won the championship, we're not going to go away. We're going to show the presentation. But we also said we were very much intrigued about what would the reception be for Kathy Engelbert during the trophy presentation. Because Nick and I knew very well from game one that there was a video message from Kathy shown at Michelob Ultra Arena, and the entire arena booed it.
They booed so loud that I've never heard an arena that loud for WNBA.
And then we also knew, though, as well, Widow, that ESPN had tried to green screen out people flipping off the commissioner. So here we go, Nick. So they said, yes, I was there. It was electric. The Aces have been a team I have supported for years, too. Kathy got so booed, even by players' families I was sitting behind. Anytime she spoke, she got trashed.
I mean, that's not a surprise. That's really not a surprise, because it goes back to the first night that you and I did content together here when we watched the WNBA draft, and Kathy was answering the questions. What do you think of Unrivaled coming up against you? I don't believe it. I want to see if I can find it, because I think it's important to some of this conversation. As Christy says, Kathy deserves to be trashed. But I got to see if I can find that because you remember how you and I reacted when she said it live?
I mean, when I heard that, I was aghast. Like, how can you, as the commissioner of a league, not take into consideration the competition, especially Nick, when, as we have long said, you've down on the Hill, the simple fact that two of your players are co-founders of a highly successful offseason league to try to keep players playing domestically and not going overseas.
Well, and look what happened to Stewie, Brianna Stewart. Where did she go, to Turkey?
She had to sign with Galatasaray over in Turkey just in case there's no WNBA season.
Which I thought the whole point of Unrivaled was that you were not supposed to go overseas. I thought that was the whole point.
All right. We have more from Black Widow, who says, sorry about that. I had a sign that said, pay the players at our arena. They let us hold signs, but I will say they did try to take signs away of pay the players at Michelob Ultra in Las Vegas. That is a weird paradox there, actually, if you ask me.
They let us hold signs, but I will say...
So Vegas seemed to clamp down further on signs at their home games rather than at Mortgage Matchup Center in Phoenix, I'm sorry.
I mean, you do realize, though, that who owns that arena in Phoenix, though? That's a whole different issue that we've talked about. But I'm trying to find the information because it was unbelievable, like what she was saying. So it says that there is a complex narrative regarding whether WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert views Unrivaled League as a direct competitor or not, with differing views. Despite some criticism, official sentiment often positions Unrivaled as a complementary opportunity for players rather than direct competition. In what world does that make sense?
In what world does a 3-on-3 league trying their best to give players a chance to stay home and play the game and take some ownership stake of the league?
As we go on, I don't know if you like Matt Ishbia, but he has made games so much more fan-friendly, cheap food, better fan experience, and wants the team to win. Oh, yes, I agree. And you and I talked about the statement he made about Mark Cuban, that he didn't like the fact that Mark Cuban came out and admitted to tanking to get better players, which, by the way, I don't blame certain owners for doing tanking because there's no rule right now against tanking. So you can't really punish anybody if you don't have a rule for tanking in place. Ishbia is an interesting owner. I'm not going to say he's a bad owner, but he does.
He's an interesting cat, that's for sure.
He does some unconventional things as an owner, like putting his secondary company as the sponsor of his own arena. But and isn't it true? What is it? His brother or someone is an investment in the White Sox or was trying?
I think he did. I think he pulled out.
Well, it was probably because of Ryan's doof.
And I will say, though, as well, to Widow's point, as someone who's traveled to 4 different WNBA arenas, obviously living in San Diego, LA is close. Kelsey Plum, who's from San Diego, plays for the Sparks. I'd gone a lot when Candace Parker played for LA. I've been to Vegas, I've been to Phoenix, and I've been to Minnesota. 4 really passionate WNBA markets in my time going to games. And I will agree, though, that Phoenix seemed to be very much one market, Widow, that I think you'll appreciate here. I went to the playoff game when the Tulsa Shock were still around in, I think, 2015. And, I was wearing a Diana Taurasi jersey. Me and my friend were walking to, I think it was Talking Stick at the time, or they were in the middle of the name change of U.S. Airways. Regardless, we're at the street corner on Jefferson walking towards the arena. And a guy on a bike who got off a shift from a Carl's Jr. restaurant right down the street had stopped or we were at a crosswalk, and he said, "Hey, what time's the game at?" And I said, "Oh, the game's at 7:30. We're heading over a bit early." He said, he literally looked at his watch and said, "Good, I have time to go home and shower and get back here in time for the game." I look at my friend, I'm like, this sort of thing never happens. But it only happens, though, in a market, though, Widow, like Phoenix, for example, where you've had the game there for 30 years. You've had talent like Michelle Timms and Jennifer Gillum and Diana and all, and BG for so long. when a market like that buys into women's sports, that really makes me smile as someone who's been a women's sports fan since he was in 8th grade, that there is the audience there, the market is there and stuff, and, LA is a whole different animal. Vegas is absolutely incredible with how they've been with supporting the Aces since they've come there from San Antonio. And obviously the Lynx have been one of the only teams that's won, along with the Frost of the PWHL recently when it comes to championships across Minnesota sports for the past 30 plus years, roughly. But I would agree, though, about Ishbia, though, because Nick's big argument, though, is affordability for sporting events is just not there like it used to be 20, 30, 40 years ago.
No, you need to pay an arm and a leg to get a decent seat inside most stadiums and arenas. And forget it, if you're a season ticket holder like Black Widow said she was, you're now paying, I don't know if the WNBA has personal seat licenses for their season tickets.
Probably not. I mean, maybe Widow can clarify about what the season ticket plans are for the X Factor down in PHX, though.
But I'm wondering if she has to pay a fee on top of what she's paying, which you're seeing that more now.
Ooh.
Phoenix Mercury, cheapest season ticket holder. That's actually not terrible, believe it or not.
For a 22-game home schedule, it's actually pretty damn good. Quick math is 44 total games, so half would be, 22?
Yeah.
It's pretty good, honestly.
That's actually, I thought it was going to be like $1,000. I thought it was going to be more.
And it's in the lower level, too, of the arena.
Well, I think WNBA tickets are cheaper than NBA tickets by far, just because of value. And unfortunately, and don't take this the wrong way when I say it, but there's more stars to be had. As I said, they really try to take care of us. Well, I would hope they take care of the season ticket holders because they're the ones that keep these teams in business.
Yeah, and sadly, Widow, I've heard a lot of, look at how the pricing is for the Liberty or the Aces now.
Well, they're the biggest market teams. They have all the stars, so of course they're going to be higher.
And I did want to go back real quick to this one about, teams taking care of their season seat holders. Widow, I went for a good period of time before COVID hit. So I would go at least twice a year to LA for a game, go to Phoenix for a game, maybe go to Vegas if I was in town for a game. And I had a lot of friends in Phoenix, Vegas, and LA who were, lifelong season seat holders who, when I began going to games in 2014, they had like every perk you can think of. But gradually, as time goes on, 2016, 2018, more and more things got pulled away. Like they really began to limit player access to the star players, and they would send more of like the rookies or kids to the, post-game autograph line or the season ticket member Q&A. And I think my biggest pet peeve, Widow, happened when I went to the All-Star game in Minnesota in 2018. I'm one of the only few LA fans there, obviously, and this was at the height, as you probably know, of when LA and Minnesota had their trade-off of winning titles in 16 and 17 and, close in 2018. So I went and met up with a bunch of friends of mine who were either Lynx fans, Merc fans, Sparks fans. We all, hung out for the whole weekend and we had a blast. I'd love to do it again. But regardless of that, and Nick knows well, I got to interview Candace Parker when I was in college in 2014. So her and I had kind of kept like a very much professional, long distance friendship together, social media friendship together. Long story short, though, a ticket rep or not a ticket rep, but a team staff member for the Sparks flagged me down and gave me a voucher for like 2 free tickets to a game. And I'm thinking to myself, I live in San Diego. It's hard for me to get from here to LA. No one in my friend circle cares for women's sports, which sucks, which is stupid. This does me no good. Like, how can I not like go and meet Candace or Chelsea Gray or NECA while I'm in town? Like, you could have done something a little bit better. But again, this was when they began to roll back a lot of the very much, the cool perks and things of that nature. So that kind of in a way turned me off a bit. I heard from some friends in Phoenix too, same thing. Like they would really limit player access, around that time. Same with Vegas, same with Minnesota. And I think that's across the whole league, sadly. And I say it all the time, though, that women's sports athletes are some of the most down-to-earth individuals you'll probably ever meet, from the W, the NWSL, pro lacrosse, pro volleyball. They'll take those hours on end to meet fans and, talk shop or whatnot. But definitely. I mean, I like that there are teams still trying to take care of their season seed holders, though. But you got to stop getting rid of all these perks, though, that you pay a premium for. Again, like that much money, as Widow pointed out here, when it comes to season ticket membership charges down in Phoenix. Got to stop taking away these perks, though, Mr. Morgasen. I hate hearing that sort of stuff happen.
But how do you fix it? Because it costs money to put time into these situations. Now, does it really cost money to give a little bit more access so that young kids and young fans could get into the game and be a little more attached to what's going on with the game on and off the court? A little more comment here. I will say Mercury games get you the best access to players out of any arena. I will say they did take away a lot of perks this year due to the strike / CBA.
Oh,
But that doesn't surprise me.
it doesn't, though. I agree.
Because think about it. The W is going to do everything in its power to be greedy, again, to dangle that carrot over the players to say, look, if you don't change, if you don't make a change, we're not giving everything back. But in essence, the WNBA is hurting the fans, not just the players.
They are. I mean, it's in a way, it's a bit of a disservice. I'm not surprised by it either. Atmosphere, and I will agree, though, too, that Widow's right, though, that when I was in Phoenix, though, again, easy access to see the players. I mean, even in Vegas. But, of course, the biggest one, though, offender for me is Crypto.com Arena as well. Furthermore, we have some more comments here. Widow, by the way, we thank you very much for giving us some depth here about hearing it firsthand from a fan. Again, I've been a lifelong fan, though, in a way, since 2008. But, again, hard for me, though, in SoCal and San Diego to get up to LA, for example, with where I do for a living, as Nick knows, too. But, again, we both have worked in sports media for almost 20 years. But furthermore, though, we also have a comment, though. They had the Christmas party canceled and merged it with the Suns. Also, the only even thing we've had was a team logo fashion show that has been in so far, which, again, the Merc dropped a new logo before the season began, though, for their 30th season. So, again, some more perks on it going by the wayside. But, again, Widow, we thank you a lot, by the way, for, again, helping us out here. But we also, again, appreciate, though, the firsthand perspective, though, of a WNBA fan / even season seed holder about where your feelings are at. Again, obviously, we all want the season to go forward, though, but also pay the players.
I mean, the players are the lifeblood of the sport. And until the owners realize that the players are the lifeblood of the sport, we're going to be at an impasse. We're 8 hours into a negotiation going on right now. Currently, I want to read this one because this one's actually interesting. They did send us an email that they will be sending us a toiletry bag and a watch.
I mean, it better be a flipping Rolex.
Wait a minute. What the heck does that mean?
So I guess their season ticket member gift for the season is going to be a toiletry bag to use on the road and then a watch. And it better be a damn Rolex.
That's a little confusing to me. I mean, she's saying that I guess that makes up for canceled events. I don't know if I agree with that so much.
You should be allowed to pick you should be allowed to get a jersey for free of your favorite player. How about that?
I don't even think that's enough for a season ticket holder, to be quite honest.
I mean, away from the refund, as Widow was mentioning too, and yes, Christy, been a fan of this league since '97. The year this league started, the year this league started, this upcoming strike pisses me off. I mean, all in favor say aye. All in favor say aye. Meeting adjourned.
And by the way, every game that a season ticket holder has that they lose to a strike, they should get back for free.
Yes,
and I mean that sincerely. No, we're not giving. You want to make good with the fans? You want to make good with the players?
You know what I think would even be better? Widow, I think you might agree. If you're on the season ticket holder payment plan, games that are missed should count towards a payment towards next season for free, where you don't have to worry about, where you can move the payment to next season.
Yeah, because you're not getting those games.
You're not getting shit right now at the rate that we're going here, sadly.
I still don't think we're going to have a season the way this is going currently. And I feel bad for like Black Widow if she has a season ticket package like she does. And now I don't know if she has a full season ticket plan, like for all home games or whatnot. That would be nice as long as they don't raise the prices. That's another issue.
That's a scary thought.
Can you imagine after a freaking lockout?
Oh, we're going
she's-
to raise prices by 15% to meet demand.
She said she has full season, all home games. So,
Okay.
so that true dedicated fan, full
Love it.
season ticket holder.
Love it.
Which, if that's the case, you should be treating those season ticket holders even better. For crying out loud, you should be treating those people better. Because they're the lifeblood. I'm going to say it again. Lifeblood. Keeping your bills paid. Allowing you to make the profit at the bottom line, which a lot of these teams are making. But no, we're if we give the players 30% in revenue, it's hemorrhaging money, according to Kathy Engelbert, and it's going to put us in the red and in debt. Kathy,
So-
what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, so Nick, looking over some of the numbers that we have here, and by the way, for once again, folks, real quick, again, Callan, McClurg, Nick Morgasen here, Press Row, late night edition of Press Row. Again, we will have our regular scheduled show on Wednesday morning, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll have more about the WNBA ongoing lockout too. But again, we're sitting here having a good old time. I'm finishing off some decaf coffee. 520 people joining us. And if you are a WNBA fan, basketball fan, please jump in the live chat box on YouTube or on Twitter. We're trying our best to keep you folks posted with what we know right now about the ongoing meeting. We heard from Andy Costabel there on hour 8, going on hour 9 of this meeting. Back to the comment box real quick. Black Widow further says, a friend of mine has courtside tickets and one seat by the net is over $10,000.
That's a little shocking. Not going to lie, slightly. I didn't think most or any tickets would reach that value inside a WNBA arena. Did you?
Maybe in certain markets, if you're like again, like the OG franchises, New York, LA, Phoenix, maybe even now in Vegas with how that team has exploded in popularity.
But that's surprising. Like at an NBA arena, I could see that a lot. 10, 15, 20, 30,000 if you're sitting courtside at an NBA game. That wouldn't surprise, especially in LA and New York. Forget it. You'd have to pay 2 arms and 2 legs to sit courtside.
At this rate, I would agree. Last season, furthermore, last year, they actually raised prices for lower-level sideline seats for $6,000 with club access, and higher up is $3,500 last season. Whew.
It's a lot of money.
Especially in that arena, which is still going strong after almost 30 years of operation down there.
This is such a ridiculous situation, though, when it comes to that you're not willing to give the players more money so that they feel incentivized to play in your league. And then you yell at them because they go and they play an unrivaled or players unlimited.
Or they put in those loopholes. If you're overseas, you have to be back by May 1st or you risk being suspended for part of the season.
Right. Which is kind of, well, you have, I mean, that makes sense that you have to be back before the season because you have to be there for when your team, your contract before to play.
And by the way, that's before the lockout, by the way, and they're paying for nothing at this rate with where things stand.
I just don't know anymore. I mean, Kathy's never going to budge. Kathy needs to be fired as the commissioner of the W because in her mind, she's not thinking about the business as a whole. She's thinking about the owner's pockets and not about fans and not about what the, again, lifeblood of this sport is. You need a fan base. You need butts and seats. You need people to buy jerseys. You need people to be in the stands to cheer for players. And if you don't have players, then you're not going to have fans.
Exactly. I mean, at the rate that we're going here. Black Widow for the rights again. Thanks again, Black Widow, for your thoughts here. Again, we really appreciate you. I think personally they are taking so long tonight because of what Clark said, and the higher ups of the WNBPA want to stay strong and come out on top. I think leaks would have happened if a deal was done or reached. So I think we are headed to at least a delay of the season.
That's what I had said to you earlier before we came on here. There are people in like Andy's comments and in Philippu's comments who are probably two of the best when it comes to being the insiders.
By the way, we do have an update. Both sides are still negotiating, approaching hour 9 per Andy Costabel of FOS.
Oh, why did she put an update in?
Yes, within the last 2 minutes. Or excuse me, that was from Alexa Philippou. My apologies. But yes, that is where we're at, though. 9 hours deep now.
And people are saying, "Oh, it's such a great thing." The longer that they negotiate, no, it's not better. The longer they negotiate, it means that we don't know if the two sides are yelling and screaming at each other inside the boardroom right now. Do we?
I mean, who knows? I mean, has anyone stepped up to use the bathroom? Has anyone drank water? Has anybody ordered pizza yet from Domino's? Like, where are we at here?
Speaking of water, get a little water break in myself because I'm like heating up over here.
So we're at hour 9 per Alexa Philippou of ESPN.com.
I do see it. Okay, both sides are still negotiating, approaching hour 9.
Ooh, baby.
And we're going to be here for at least another hour plus, at least. So we're going to follow along with it. That's why I prepared the water and you prepared the coffee.
Little decaf tonight. Yes, by the way, 530 people. Again, thank you all again so much. I mean, we're going to say that a lot, but this is awesome. All right, back to the Combox. Black Widow further writes, I do think, though, fellas, that the WNBPA is folding on things, sadly, which they shouldn't do, but I don't see the WNBA covering or caving on revenue sharing, which, by the way, we're going to get to in just a minute, though. But I think, though, Nick, that we've been, you, me, and Widow, we've all been, I think, in a way, agreeing on everything that we have talked about, though, because it's been kind of, in a way, what we've been talking about, though, on PR and on ETV for the last several months and for the latter part of a year, that we said this, though, Nick, before we came on the air, because we've actually been kind of prepping the show since, I think, noon Pacific time today, 3 o'clock Eastern. We've been, sitting in here trying to, get the information and whatnot. But I also think, though, Nick, we said, though, I think right before we kicked off the show, the players, though, have coughed up a lot of things, though, recently here. They've caved on a lot of their proposals. They've really had to, draw some things back, though. But I think Widow's right, though, Nick. It boils down, though, to that revenue sharing model, whatever the hell it looks like, and the league is just not going to budge on that damn thing.
Well, I've been talking about the revenue sharing model for months, where they just don't want to budge off that 10 to 15% area that they keep saying, oh, well, we're only willing to give you 12%, 13%. No, guys, that's not enough. That's not enough. Look at the NBA. The NBA is splitting, and I'm going to look this up just because I want to look up players versus owners revenue splits in different leagues. Most of them are 50-50.
Some of them might be a little bit like 51-49 or 52-48.
So this is based off 24-25 split. But including the NFL is 50%. NBA is between 49 and 51%. What?
Yeah, there's a funny Twitter thread. Ramona Shelburne wrote back to Alexa Philippou. Again, we just shared Alexa's tweet. Again, for the late night crowd, both sides are still negotiating, approaching hour 9. Ramona Shelburne tweets back, let us know when we have a new pope. Philippou writes back, I am hoping they light up the Empire State Building orange when it's time.
At least the NWSL starts this weekend for us women's soccer fans. I'm with you. I'm in. I'm ready whenever it starts.
I mean, hell, freaking your team in New York, New Jersey won a title last season, so you can celebrate that.
Is it bad though? And that's the one sport that's holding up New York right now.
Soccer.
And I'm not saying from an offensive standpoint. I just mean like
New York City FC and then Gotham has won, I think, 2 fairly recent NWSL championships.
Well, when your football teams are in the shitter, your baseball teams are in the shitter, and the NBA, the Knicks, they're up there.
So, Widow, I guess I'll ask the question. With Phoenix not having an NWSL team, who's your squad? I was going to, okay, there's the answer. It's Angel City. Okay.
Interesting.
Which is in Los Angeles.
Your favorite place.
Well, we do have a franchise here in San Diego, so there's your response. There's your answer. But I do love the Angel City ownership because my Star Wars crush is Natalie Portman. She's part owner, so there you go. And Candace Parker's part of that ownership too. So there you go.
You would. All right. What do we have on our rundown still that we can get to here?
Well, let's get though to what Widow said though regarding about the revenue sharing, Nick, because we've thrown this around though for the last several months. And again, I think it's the
I have the
Oh, yeah.
numbers. I have the numbers for the revenue percentage because I was
Go ahead.
starting to say that. So the NFL is roughly almost 49% to 50%. NBA is 50-50 split. NHL, believe it or not, is a 50-50 split. I didn't know that. Major League Baseball's up in the air because their CBA is up. And right now, the W is 9.3%. 9.3%. What? They don't even have double-digit revenue. The players.
And that, Nick, I believe, went at the start. Now, again, if you have joined us on Press Row, you know that we've had the banner up, though, and saying what day we're on, though, of the lockout. This is now day 161, dating back to when Nafisa Collier called out Kathy Engelbert back in September. I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, you're right. I'll give you that one.
That is a good one, though. Yes, as the hockey fan of this network, I would agree. But yeah, I mean, Nick, what we've seen, the union is demanding at least 26%, 25%, maybe 30% of the gross revenue. But the league, though, is looking to offer the net revenue, which is 70% after expenses, which the players have claimed could be less than 50%, 15%.
It's after taxes. After expenses, after taxes.
Which in fact, that the players have called unrealistic. That the league has called the union's request for at least 25% of the gross revenue unrealistic. But Nick, why is the league, though, digging its heels in on net revenue when the NBA has successfully operated on a basketball-related income or gross split for decades? Why are we being any different, or why are we being different here?
Because WNBA owners are claiming poverty, which is ridiculous because a lot of the WNBA owners own other franchises in the NBA. They have NWSL teams. They have other franchises. They're trying to claim poverty when they're not poor. That's the problem we're having right now. These owners think they're poor, but they're actually making a ton of. Look at the valuations of the teams. They went from what? What was the team that we were talking about way back when?
Vegas.
What was it? It was like 30 million, and now it's over 300.
Yeah.
I mean, really? And you're going to claim poverty?
Exactly.
Asia Wilson's the reason why you have a lot of that valuation. You winning 3 out of 5 championships is why you have that valuation, not because of the damn owner.
Whose NFL team sucks.
Speaking of, I met Mark Davis. Nice guy.
Tell him that his haircut sucks, too. Furthermore, and I think, no, Nick, this goes to a point from one of our guests on PR in the early days of the show. Kathy thinks everyone makes Clark sponsorship money and forgets about players like Shea Petty, for example. Also, owners make so much money and get paid and get so many tax breaks, etc. as well. Where, again, Nick, we had everybody's favorite writer, Christine Brennan, join the show and talk about the WNBA on playback.
Hey, by the way, Black Widow, just because I'm curious, because you know a lot about the W. I'm just curious. Like, do you do something in media or do you do something in sports? Because you're very knowledgeable about the W, would you say?
I think so. I love it.
I'm just curious to if she says what she does for work. I'm just curious because she knows this very well. Like, she knows the business aspect of the W, like no other. But to get back to that point, she is right. Kathy, nothing in media. I wish just tuned into sports. Okay,
love it. Thank you for being here again. I'm going to keep saying it.
But you're right from the standpoint of Kathy thinks everyone makes Caitlin Clark money. Okay, there's very few people that make Caitlin Clark money, and it's all the big names, and it's mostly off the court. Stewie has sponsors off the court. Collier has sponsors off the court. Why am I forgetting Caitlin's teammate?
Leah Boston.
No.
Sophie Cunningham.
Thank you. Sophie Cunningham, who you and I have gone off the rails on many times for some of the stuff that she's done. I like her. She's great. I like that she kind of reminds me of a Draymond Green personality on the court, which can be good and bad at the same time. But what was that deal she made? Which fast food place is it?
Oh, geez. You asked me too quick. I was looking at something.
I'm gonna look this up because she's got sponsors like crazy off the court. Oh, Arby's.
Yes.
Arby's. So she's got to deal with Adidas. She's got to deal with Arby's and Quest Nutrition, and she also has a deal with Ring.
Yes.
So, oh, this is I love this. Oh, that's the wrong comment. That one. So who starts meetings at 5 anyway?
Thank you, Gary. I agree. We were literally just talking about that about 10 minutes ago.
We agree with you, Gary. That's
100%. Cannot agree more.
And then like what it says, I live and breathe WNBA and NWSL when I get to LA, but love all sports. You know what? I like her background in the W. That's why I was just wondering.
I like this
because she knows it well. We could always use someone who covers women's sports a little bit more. Just saying. But I was just looking up her endorsements because I was curious. And so, like I said, she's got Adidas, she's got Arby's, she's got Quest Nutrition, she's got Ring, and then obviously she has the podcast deal with the Volume, Colin Cowherd's network, which, by the way, I've come around to a little bit more because she stopped with a lot of the Hollywooding on the podcast finally. Now, I think her podcast has been one of the best when it's come to discussing negotiations and really being upfront and honest. Her and Natasha Cloud.
Yes, and we played that video from Tosh too during the course of one of our last shows where we heard Nick firsthand. Players had to sign NDAs apparently when it came to this stuff,
which is ridiculous. Okay,
talk about a gag order. My goodness gracious!
But you know what that is, and I said this when we talked about the NDAs. They're trying to silence the players. They don't want to be found out. Oh, we're bad people. We don't want people to know it. Of course, you're bad people. Awful, terrible people. You're snake oil salesman. Okay, Kathy is a snake oil salesman. She has no background in sports.
Hell no.
She worked for a company called Dilotti, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Which I don't even know what Dilotti is. I just got here. Don't you all think the fact it's taking this long is a good sign, though? No.
I mean, it's tough, I think, Gary, to really, I think about that. Obviously, we're at hour 9 per what we just put up from Eric Michael, who's covering the Toronto Tempo up in Toronto, Ontario, who, again, is one of the teams affected by the ongoing CBA issues.
They can't have their draft yet.
They cannot have their expansion draft right now. But, Gary, we thank you for being here, though. You know, I think sometimes, Nick, that the longer sometimes it goes, it could be like one of two ways. I just think, though, Gary, with where things have gone, with how it's been very messy, really out of control. Now, again, I think it was really much rough, though, at the beginning of this whole fray back in September to kind of, go back in the DeLorean a little bit and back in time, is the simple fact right now that this began with the piece of Collier going scorched earth, as we talked about, here on Press Row back in September of last year, with the whole, exit interview being used to really talk about what was going on. Sometimes I think, though, the longer it does go, I think can be good. I would say, though, Gary, to your point, I think in this case, though, with how it's been very sleazy, it's been out of control. I don't really think, though, that it's a good sign, though, when there's been so much, powder that could explode, at a very quick second. I think that Widow's right, though, that I disagree. If they were actually shouting, something would have been shared by now by somebody. But the only problem, though, I think, though, and I agree, though, with Widow's point, though, but Nick, if all the insiders are on the outside looking in, how would they know what's going on? They have like some kind of bat phone up to the damn meeting room up in that hotel or whatever's going on.
Unless one of the players are coming out and leaking out information that's coming through, that's possible. Black Widow also said possibly, but also I think it's the fact that it's because of the deadline that the WNBA is trying to guilt with them. 100% agreed. And this is what I said before. The owners, Kathy Engelbert, they think that they have the leverage in this situation by basically threatening not to have a season and locking the players out, which they can't do anymore because the CBA officially expired and they don't want to put any more delays. But
Andy Castabal has put out an article
just
within the last 16 or 30 seconds. And by the way, Nick, you and I were right, because we had said earlier at the top of the show that it seemed like Annie was only tweeting every hour. So because there's been no news, it's just been like, one tweet per hour. But now, though, there is an actual FOS story just put out within the last 5 minutes at this rate that reads in part that the WNBA players meet for marathon labor talks. The sides are currently gathered at a Midtown Manhattan, New York hotel in the early evening on Tuesday for a meeting that went well past midnight into Wednesday morning. Last week in Miami, two of the league's biggest stars said that the players in league should meet for a marathon labor negotiation. As Tuesday's league-imposed deadline for a new CBA in order to start the season on time came and went, they did just that. The sides gathered at a Midtown Manhattan, New York hotel room in the early evening Tuesday for a meeting that went well past midnight on Wednesday. These negotiations began shortly after 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday and were still going on as of 1 a.m. Wednesday, with reporters from Front Office Sports and other outlets staked outside the Langham Hotel, just blocks south of the NBA League office. Few details have trickled out of the lengthy session. The league had said in part that its deadline for starting the season on time was March 10th on Tuesday, but that deadline has only been communicated in recent weeks, and leagues have a history of imposing aggressive deadlines on unions only to retract them when negotiations come down to brass tacks. The divide between the players and owners has remained the same for over a year. Had to share the enormous amount of new money flooding into the league. The league eventually conceded to players on sharing a percentage of revenue, but the sides remain far apart in recent weeks on how to calculate that revenue and what percentage will go to players. The main figures on both sides were present at the luxury hotel on Tuesday, which includes New York Liberty player Breanna Stewart, Alicia Clark, Nneka Ogwumike, and Bree Turner, representing the players' union as they have throughout talks, and were joined by lawyers and also admin members from both sides, alongside Liberty owner Clara Wu Tsai. And, of course, the story is developing will be updated, though, at a later time and date, so we'll keep that story open at this rate. Nick, any thoughts to Annie's first real commentary since the meeting began at 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, 2 o'clock Pacific time? Holy cow.
Oh, and by the way, she says, so not a single leak for this article. I don't think any deal, not one single leak.
Very much.
They really haven't. And I think part of the reason for that, Black Widow, is because I think they're trying to control the situation because of all the leaking that's been going on in the prior meetings.
Trying to control the narrative right here at this rate.
Well, they've been controlling the narrative since the negotiations have been going on, because they keep trying to paint the WNBA players in a bad light, saying that it's their fault that there's no CBA deal signed. It's their fault that we can't get the two new teams in, which is totally bullshit the way this situation is going. And like I said, you need the players for there to be a league. You need the players with their brands to build fan bases, to make sure you make the money necessary to keep the league operational. We had David Sampson on,
Yes.
which feels like a century ago now. But
I mean, if you want to kill some time, Nick, I can go and pull up that part of the interview, and we can play that here shortly.
Yeah, if you want to start looking for that. But basically, what Sampson, and by the way, in case people don't know who David Sampson is, he was a former president of the Miami Marlins, and now he works for Meadowlark Media, doing Nothing Personal with David Sampson, his own show. And he made a viral comment on the Dan Le Batard show, saying that basically he thought the W was going to implode and basically close, essentially. But it's just one of those things. More comments. Stewie and Nafisa's threatening unrivaled season 3. Is that the report that was coming out? I don't know if they were threatening season 3. Oh, you mean threatening season 3 is having another season? Is I think what she means, right?
Yeah, you watch, laughing face. Gary, to answer your question, the meeting, where's the meeting at? Wonder what time it is there. So it's actually at a hotel in Manhattan, per Annie's reporting, blocks away from the NBA front office in Manhattan, and it's currently 1:10 a.m. Wednesday morning on the East Coast, where Nick is at. I'm out on the West Coast.
Yeah, it's late here. It is very late here. Um,
Still looking for the interview. Keep going.
but he basically was saying, and a lot of people shit on David Sampson. Basically saying that you're wrong. The league's never going to fold. And you know what, though? I think there is a chance that the W could fold because with all these leagues that are, like I said, unrivaled, which is paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to these women to actually feel valued in that league, it matters. It matters to them. Blackwood also says, "Can we say Adam sucks?" Callan, how many times have I been saying that?
Oh, don't worry, Black Widow. We have long said that Adam Silver is not the right guy. By the way, Nick, 600 viewers. Holy shit.
Yeah. How many times have I called Adam Silver Beaker before?
Well, I mean, Christy Wilson began the joke when we were on playback, and then it's been a running gag ever since.
But I'm saying, how many times have I called him Beaker?
Oh, yeah, and the commissioner of both leagues are awful.
But here's the thing that we need to explain from a technicality standpoint. Even though Adam Silver is the commissioner of the NBA and Kathy Engelbert is the commissioner of the W, Adam Silver has the final say over most of the stuff that goes on with the W. From a fiscally responsible point. Yes, blame me for the Beaker joke. Yes.
Yeah, no problem, Gary. Thank you for tuning in. And if you have, again, folks, we got 600 people joining us on a random Tuesday night
into Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning. Again, I'm on the West Coast in San Diego, Nixon on the island in New York, though. So again, if you're going to join us here again, we're here for like at least another hour plus, covering all things WNBA lockout news. Again, we just had a brief article from Annie Costabel, again, who's been outside the hotel with other WNBA writers, covering the story again, 9 hours deep, nothing new that we can report on right now. We're just kind of, again, exchanging some ideas, though. But with that, though, Nick, we're going to actually deter here and get to David Sampson's thoughts, though, from our Press Row podcast that, again, you can catch every Wednesday morning on the West Coast, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 o'clock Eastern. Nick, here is that interview with Mr. Sampson when we got to asking David about his thoughts on the WNBA. You actually asked the question. Let's hear or have a listen.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit away from baseball. I want to talk about your comments on the WNBA because we talk about the W all the time on here. You talked about how the league could possibly fold, the players being too greedy. What is the answer for the WNBA and the WNBPA? Because we talk about it a ton. We've prepped to do lockout shows before, and then, of course, they go on these 30-day extensions, and it was going to get to a point where they just can't do 30-day extensions anymore.
It got there.
Right. So what is the answer? Is one side wrong? Are both sides wrong? Is there a consensus? What is the situation with the two of them?
A mistake that unions make very, very often is they try to do too much over the course of one negotiation. What you're supposed to do in collective bargaining is have an idea. You're supposed to literally have a 1, 5, 10, and 20-year horizon. And what you're negotiating, think about what the WNBA is trying to do, the Players Association. They're trying to become the NBA in terms of getting a percentage of revenue, and they're trying to get it all now. It's just not going to happen. The NBA has far too many losses with the WNBA to give back any profits that it may be making now. They're using those profits to try to make the financials look better, to give them more access to capital, to try to pay off some of the debt that they have accrued over the years. And they're not going to give it all back to the players right now. It could happen over time. And what the WNBA Players Association did, in my opinion, is they went for too much too soon because they got seduced by the Caitlin Clark effect. And that's a really good PR effect, what happened with Caitlin Clark. all the numbers of people watching and the new TV deal that's a pegged number by Adam Silver as part of the bigger NBA deal. But the truth of the matter is that is a deal that won't get done until the Players Association comes to grips with the reality that they're not going to get what they want. Hard stop. Not today.
All right, pause there.
And so your second question.
So I think that's an interesting point that we've been discussing, that he believes that until the players are fully going to budge. Now, he doesn't mean it in an unfair way. He's saying that the owners are just going to hard stop where they are. They're not willing to go up any further when it comes to revenue percentage for the players whatsoever. So the owners are basically going to, the players are going to have to come to grips and say, are we willing to affect what we want? Are we willing to stoop lower to get a deal done on the table or not? Right?
Exactly. Now, a couple thoughts though from Black Widow. Again, really appreciate you again for hanging out with us here. We really do. In part, that is not their fault, though. Teams are making profits. If the league isn't profitable, blame Adam and Kathy for being terrible business people. They're also not asking for what the men want. They want at least some crumbs at the moment, which, again, that goes to our point, though, as well, that Black Widow, that there was a video that Natasha Cloud put out that she was doing the same thing about, pie slices, basically. And then she, again, Nick, dropped that bombshell that sign away your life with an NDA.
You and I were shocked when we heard that the players had to sign an NDA and they were not allowed to talk about negotiations publicly. But before we get to that, let Samson answer the second question.
Would it fold? There's a lot of businesses out there that have folded divisions than we even think about.
True.
And I'm sorry to tell you, the WNBA is simply a division of the NBA. That's all it is. And that's not to say it's not important. It's not to say it's not fun or exciting. It's just a division. And divisions close every day. So would the NBA close that division? Man, I would say no, but it's certainly not out of the question.
I just want to follow up. So all right, but I think that covers where we were at. But
yes.
I think everything he said is valid from a standpoint. Now, he put it in a different perspective, saying that the W is a division of the NBA. Technically, the NBA owns the WNBA. They own the subsidiary. They pay a lot of bills. But I just think that until we get negotiations on the right path, and both sides say, all right, I'm willing to concede this, I'm willing to concede that, and we're willing to meet in the middle to do the proper thing for the fans. Because why do we play for the fans, right? So, and I don't want to hear in the dopey comments in the comments section that say, well, they only play for money. I got it. I know that they make salaries, and I know that they play because they're paid. I got it. But you need fans to pay salaries. You need the ticket revenue. You need the parking revenue. You need to sell food. You need to sell jerseys. Otherwise, you're not going to get paid. Plain and simple.
Could not agree more at this rate. Just one more thought here from Black Widow. Has Samson not seen that they have reduced their offers drastically? Also, locking into an 8-year deal is terrible, or locking into an 8-year terrible deal is good for no one. The league right now is the most hype it's ever been. That part I agree with. It's not just Callan, but also Paige, Ozzy Fudd coming into the league. Women's basketball is on the rise. I mean, I've been saying that for a long time, and no one believes me.
Well,
except for you.
That's not the issue.
And it's not, yeah.
Black Widow, that's not the issue. There's plenty of players. There's plenty of stars. There's plenty of brands. There's plenty of fan base to go around for the WNBA. But from a standpoint of, and I hate when people do this, when they compare it to the NBA, they compare the NBA to the WNBA. The NBA is obviously bigger than the W, okay? I'm not questioning whether it's more entertaining. I'm not questioning whether there's a value. That's not the question. But that's why the NBA has a more value proposition base because there's more value. There's more eyeballs watching NBA games. We're starting to see the rise of people watching WNBA games. Now, you and I talked about this. Do I agree that the W made a deal with Versant, considering that they don't have a CBA deal yet? I think that was a mistake because who knows how many games the W is going to play this year. So you got to take it with a grain of salt because, again, the audience numbers and the metrics are not the same whatsoever when it comes between the two leagues. And I don't want to hear comparison of the W to the NBA. The NBA, the salaries are bigger. There's more sponsorship revenue. There's more money. Okay. And also the revenue split is different. The W needs a higher revenue split where the players are making money. That way, they could see more success out of what they do.
Nick, I also want to pull up a video from ESPN from earlier on Tuesday with WNBA and basketball writer Alexa Philippou, who again joined SportsCenter earlier on Tuesday for a brief conversation. Here is what Alexa had to tell SportsCenter this afternoon concerning where the lockout was heading before we entered the negotiating window this evening.
You have been all over this story. Where do things stand right now between the WNBA and the Players Union?
Yeah, Amina. Well, the WNBA sent a counter proposal to the Players Union on Saturday. That was a day after the Players Union sent a counter proposal itself to the league on Friday. So you had that back and forth, but right now the ball is technically in the players' court. It's been described to me that those proposals contained some movement, indicating a little bit of progress, but I think it's notable that we actually haven't had leaks from either side so far about the contents of that proposal, perhaps indicating that both sides actually see and understand the seriousness of what this deadline tomorrow could bring. And so while that March 10th date was initially described to me as more of like a target, it does still mean that the league is operating as if they need to get this deal done really sooner rather than later, if not as soon as possible, to ensure the schedule won't be impacted.
And that's the problem, Nick, that we've been talking about for so long, though, has been concerning, as I think Annie Castabal of FOS wrote, though, leagues will have that deadline, de facto line in the sand, though, when it comes to to a thing like this, though. But again, can the league continue to bleed days off the calendar to get this thing right? I mean, right now you're at the point of no return.
I do want to address one more part of this comment because to say the league right now is the most hyped it's ever been. That's true. No one's debating that right now. This is well, even though I think some of it has kind of been knocked down because of the 160 days of the lockout has kind of knocked down some of the hype slightly. But to say that it's not just the Clark effect or the Paige Beckers or Ozzie Fudd, unfortunately, if Clark was not in this league, I don't know if the numbers would be the same. I just don't. Caitlin, there's a lot of eyeballs on Caitlin Clark. That drives the sport. When she sat out most of the games, did you see what happened to the numbers on most of the WNBA games when she was out injured?
Viewership plummeted, sadly.
And that's what I'm trying to get at. There's plenty of players. I'm not saying Caitlin Clark is the only player. But think about the amount of games they put on nationally with Caitlin Clark in it. Okay? If Caitlin Clark plays last year, do they have a chance to win? Yeah, they
1,000%.
do. I'm not talking about Unrivaled. Okay? Unrivaled's a different thing. Caitlin Clark was never part of Unrivaled. If she was part of Unrivaled, I would tell you right now, those numbers would have been through the roof.
Agreed.
If Caitlin Clark was part of Unrivaled. And Unrivaled is doing well on its own, regardless, not being attached to the WNBA or being attached to anything else.
Them going to Philadelphia was amazing. 21,000 plus sellout crowds at Barclays Center in Brooklyn for the league final. Incredible.
And by the way, the reason Black Widow, why they're doing better is because they finally decided to leave Miami and take the games on the road to Philadelphia and Brooklyn. And I hate to make this comparison because it's not the right fully 100% comparison, but it's a little bit Harlem Globetrotter-ish that they're taking like their league on the road and playing showing off to different fan bases and different locations. That way they can build more of an audience around the country and around the world, essentially, so that more people will be interested in watching the sport. But if the W didn't have Callan Clark, they might have folded, essentially, because they wouldn't have had the fan base enough to hold on. Callan Clark is an anomaly, okay, in some regards. Callan Clark is kind of like what LeBron James is for the NBA, for when LeBron was in his prime. You realize, would you agree, though, that LeBron held up the NBA for a good, 15 to 17 years, at least?
For sure.
And Callan Clark, I think there's a little more competition in the WNBA. There's more players to be had, but you need one face that leads the WNBA, and that is Callan Clark. She unbelievable college player, broke the 3-point record at Iowa, and went on, and now she's one of the biggest names in the W. Now, what did she say? Nothing against Clark. I like the hype she draws in, but just saying, in my opinion, if she sat out, the new players joining and the rise of basketball will keep growing. Right. I don't disagree with you, but at the same point, you need names. And Caitlin Clark is a name. Same thing with Asia Wilson. Same thing with Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu. And you can name a million players yourself because you know all the players on the W. But if you don't have Caitlin Clark, it hurts some of the brand presentation that's out there. I'm not saying there aren't players coming out of college, and I'm forgetting her name at the moment. The one from
Strong.
Well, from USC.
Juju Watkins when she's healthy.
Juju Watkins is going to be an incredible player when she's healthy and can get to the W. She's going to be an incredible player. Fudd is going to be an incredible player now that she got drafted.
Sarah Strong, Madison Booker.
And by the way, her with Beckers in Dallas.
Audie
also.
Crooks.
There's plenty of amazing young players. I'm not debating that. But you need names that you can put out a star dais that says, these are my representations of the league, so that people can put names to faces. That's what's going to help you grow from outsider fan bases. Say like when Toronto and what are the other teams going to Portland, and then eventually you're going to have Philadelphia,
Cleveland, Detroit, Houston, maybe Houston when they move the Sun there from Connecticut. And
I'll tell you right now, Black Widow, like, you don't think they're going to basically spoon feed Caitlin Clark to those new cities to bring fan bases in? Of course they are. They're going to try to get Caitlin Clark and Asia Wilson and all these players to be the first games that they play, because they want to bring in star value quality so that more fans come in.
And Nick, I'm glad, though, you brought up, though, about the tempo and the fire. Again, this was supposed to be a celebratory inaugural season for them, though, but how devastating right now as it stands here, getting close to hour 10 of the meeting, per the reports of Andy Costabile and Alexa Philippou. How, though, Nick, devastating is this, though, for fans in a new market, though, to have the momentum now, lose the momentum here in these two expansion markets, though, with the uncertainty about next season?
Well, there's always uncertainty when it comes to expanding a league. We've seen this before. Or we've seen movement, like when Major League Baseball evened out its two sides to make sure the AL and the NL were even. Or eventually, like the NBA wants to expand to Vegas at one point.
How the NHL's expanded, Major League Soccer's expanded.
I mean, they're talking about the NBA going to Vegas and Seattle. And I don't know if they're going to bring back the Supersonics again.
No, they will.
But first of all, I think being back in Seattle is going to be a major thing for the NBA this time around, I think. But from an expansion standpoint, they have to get the deal done first. They can't do anything. They can't start marketing plans. They can't start doing all this stuff until they're officially in the league circle and they have a CBA done with the players to know what revenue base they're going to be on, what money they're going to receive, what is the league going to give the players to guarantee that they're continuing to grow.
Yeah, I mean, this is something here, obviously, with what's going on, though. Furthermore, Yes, Black Widow says, I agree with you guys. It's like Hillary Knight with the PWHL. Hillary
Huge
Knight's
name.
huge name. And Hillary going to Seattle. Blunt Reality, thanks for checking in, saying I 100% agree with Black Widow. I mean, with what HK has meant to women's hockey. I wrote a very insightful, not really insightful, not to, not to, toot my own horn, though, but a very, I think good retrospective of Hillary Knight's career on my Substack, which is called Mr. Small Market on Substack. That recapped the gold medal victory, her career, what's going forward again. By the way, she played the whole Olympics with a torn MCL. Bravo to her at that age to be able to do that. Widow also says the tempo will be fine if you ask me. They sold out jerseys without player names in them or on them. Portland is a women's sports haven. Portland Thorns, for example, come to mind. I think season seat sales will drop, but people will still attend. I think 100. I mean, I think the Widow, Portland, Seattle, LA, Phoenix, even Toronto, all those markets, Minnesota, even too, with the PWHL, all those markets are supporting teams left and right, though, when it comes to women's sports, though. It's amazing.
Well, are they playing the Rose Garden or no?
They will be, yes. Moda Center.
So that might help, especially now with Dame Lillard back in Portland.
That's also where the original Portland Fire played in 2002 until they folded in 2004.
I heard that's an incredible NBA arena to be inside of, Moda Center.
I've heard the same thing.
The atmosphere is electric inside there. But they just got to get going. They got to have deals. They got to have a CBA. Otherwise, they can't enter these teams into the circle.
All right, Gary has a thought here. They're going to come out and say they're extremely close to a deal and there's a season. Owners don't hang around that long wearing him down. I mean, the only problem, though, Gary's right now, the only owner that's there right now is Joe Tsai's wife, Clara, who's representing the New York Liberty at this time. So, again, believe me, I am all for the optimism, but we're going on hour 10 here. And, I mean, I wonder, though, what would happen, sadly, if they adjourn with no deal.
It's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing.
I think the Dallas Wings, Sparks, Suns, Storm Valkyrie will be most effective at ticket sales.
Sadly, Widow, I've lived through this with the Chargers leaving San Diego, where I live, for LA. The Sun fans won't support because they know if their team's on their way to Houston. When the league literally had an offer to move the team to Boston to play at the Garden, oh no, we got to go back to Houston.
I actually think being in Boston would have been incredible. Having a women's team in Boston.
By the way, Widow, here you go. In case you were curious.
There you go.
2018.
I'm betting that everyone in that meeting are exhausted right now. Yeah, Christy, I agree.
Coffee, espresso. All right. Blunt Reality says, for perspective's sake, though, fellas, Callan was out a great portion of last season. The league, though, or the league players still hit their first revenue share while she sat out. The league will be fine either way. I mean, hey, that was a thing, though, Nick, that I think, to Blunt's point, though, it triggered, or last week, it triggered the revenue sharing. But again, the league is being greedy pigs when it comes to that money.
Now, I do agree with that point. But at the same point, they couldn't have gotten there without having Caitlin Clark in the W. Now, I know she sat out most of the season, but her exposure, Callan, how many times have we said we've seen commercials with Caitlin Clark in it, even when she's not playing?
Every other ad on a WNBA game is either her or Paige.
So my point is, Caitlin Clark still matters even when she's hurt, because she's still doing commercials. She's still out there representing the W, unlike Angel Reese, who's out podcasting and walking the catwalks. But my point is, Caitlin Clark is the best representation of the league when it comes to what's going on to help build the sport. Heck, she's out there now with the FIBA team, getting ready to play for Team USA. I mean, I think she's the big reason why this will turn around revenue-wise. When she's back on the court this season, because she's healthy now, the numbers are going to go sky high again.
You know it, brother.
We got another check-in here.
All right.
National Labor Relations Act. Employees participating in a protected strike cannot be fired. Economic strikers, those strike for better pay or hours, can be permanently replaced by new hires. Okay, well, we've heard
season.
We've heard that before. But first of all, everyone has the right to strike. That's just part of negotiation. Now, I'm not saying you should walk out illegally. That we're not saying that. But you do have the ability to strike. And you have the ability to represent fair representation when it comes to value, especially if you're a contracted employee, which all these women are. So they have to have the ability to represent.
Let's see. Blunt is said Angel is expanding her territory. These brands are coming to her, and she's capitalizing. Nothing too wrong with that. And furthermore, terrible take, Christy. Angel Reese is taking brand deals just like Clark is as well. Hey, especially though, as and you know what though, as I've said, and this goes to a point though, as a widow, I've said this though too. Especially right now with where we're at, we're going on what, hour 11, hour 10 of these negotiations. Go and make the money somewhere while you can, because being an athlete as a woman is rough as is, but also no season. Where is that money coming from though as well at the same time?
I just want to go back to one thing because of that comment that expanding her territory, brands are coming to her. First of all, that's not 100% true. She was out there doing the podcasting in the middle of the season while she was not having the best of seasons. And on top of that, she's too busy walking catwalks at a fashion show. She's too busy worrying about sponsors and not about basketball. Because what's the big thing we talk about in these negotiations, Callan? That these players are representing together to make the league a better place, right? And she's not doing that. And I'm not saying she shouldn't get her money. That's not what I'm saying here. But she's not fully, her head is not into basketball. Okay? I'm not saying she shouldn't get her money, because right now the league is essentially in lockout mode or strike mode, essentially, until they have a CBA deal. But it becomes just too much when she doesn't give two shits about basketball and she's worrying about her next brand deal or her next podcast.
Let me rebuttal, though, because I've long said this, though, too. She has a poor season because Chicago is a poorly run organization where, Nick, we've talked about the insider trading. We've also, in a way, as I've said, I've pointed out from various seasons that there has been a rash of players, big name players, that have even said that this organization is poorly run. There's disconnection. They won the championship in 2021, but even then, you still lose Candace Parker. You still lose all these, first-round picks like Elena Deladon, who went to play with the Mystics, where there's some sort of disconnect there. On top of all that, some more thoughts real quick. Blunt Reality, again, thank you all again for hanging out. We really do appreciate you guys for doing so. Just wanted to clarify, I didn't say it was 100% true. She is worried about basketball, which is why she's been working on the game. There are plenty of NBA players that also do these things too. Bit of an odd take. Furthermore, Black Widow further says, look at what Phoenix did and how they propped up the team. New facilities, brand new management finally. And also, Gyro says that TNT is going to find out if CC is the draw or not.
Well, that's what we talked about.
That's what we also talked about, too, as well, at the same time. And by the way, I think Gyro, and I think thanks to both Blunt and to Black Widow for clarifying that they are still right now, Gyro, still at the table right now, negotiating hour 10, hour 11. We're getting close. Further, Blunt Reality, again, says real quick that Caitlin moves the needle in the WNBA. She is not the end-all, be-all.
I never said that either, but I'm just saying she's a big name. It'll help the numbers grow further when she's healthy and playing good basketball on top of all the other players that are great. And I've mentioned many names: Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, Sabrina Ionescu. I could go on and on and on. There's many players. But Caitlin helps pour gasoline on the fire to make those numbers go higher because everyone is there to watch. It's like I said before, it's the LeBron James effect on the NBA. Everybody wanted to watch LeBron James play. I've never had the chance to watch a LeBron James game ever in person.
I did. Preseason game in San Diego.
Now, I don't know if you got the full effect out of LeBron watching that game.
He played the first, I'd say, 2.5 quarters. I'd say it was an exhibition game. Come on. What do you expect?
No, but I'm saying it's still cool to see a LeBron James game in person. Same thing with Caitlin Clark. If I had the ability to, since I'm since I'm
Yes.
there. I want her to play so I could sell my.
Oh, I can only
It's-
imagine how much it's going to be.
It's you probably will get 40-50% markup at least.
Real quick, Nick, Gyro further writes in, she lit the spark, and because of her, I became a fan, and it opened my eyes to Asia and other players. Unbelievable. I mean, that's how cool that. I mean, that is the effect. Now, in a way, though, Nick. Now we I think teased it a little bit though that we did interview Christine Brennan in the early days of our show on Playback TV and here on YouTube. Where again, Nick, I think we know very well though about Christine's very much openly
Obsession
opinions on Callan at this rate. With where things were at that time. Where I think that's what in a way does maybe not make people tune in though. But I mean, you hear this though from someone like Jaro. Again, she lit the spark, and because of her, I became a fan, and it opened my eyes to other players though too. So definitely the effect for sure is there. Machine is still there.
I mean, just for this one too, you said the season happening is reliant on her name mostly. Everyone is watching Asia for her unreal season. Again, what I said is that Caitlin Clark playing helps those numbers rise because she is a number one brand. I obviously know because the Aces won, obviously, and they've won 3 out of the last 5, that the Aces are big brand. The Liberty are big brand. Okay? And you can throw in the Sparks. Not that they're playing good ball, but you have Los Angeles and New York, and you have all these different brands that are coming to the limelight to play better. You want to throw because of Becker's, even though Dallas has been a crap show for the last, 2 to 3 seasons. They've been at the bottom of the ladder.
Trying to build up, though.
But everyone's going to watch Dallas because Paige Beckers and Fudd are there now. That's the main reasons right now currently that you're going to go watch a Dallas Wings game.
Jaro, can you clarify, though, what the owner of the Liberty said? Are we talking about Joe Tsai, or are we talking about the previous ownership of James Dolan?
Boy, is that when oh God, why am I forgetting?
When they moved the Liberty out of the Garden to play in Westchester, New York, at that G League arena that looked like an armory for World War II?
No, but I'm trying to think who the GM was for Liberty at the time. Because he was also the GM for the Knicks.
Oh, I forget his name. Blunt Reality Further wanted to clarify. I've been a fan since I was a kid. Family worked in LA for the Sparks. Always been big for me, and I'm glad the game is growing. I mean, believe me, as someone, Blunt, who has been a fan since 8th grade when Candace Parker went to Los Angeles, living in Southern California and San Diego, games were always on local TV, on Fox Sports West or on Spectrum Sportsnet. Now that Kay Plum's playing for them again, she's from my hometown. Great to see that, the game is growing. Obviously, the Sparks have been not the best run organization since they brought Derek Fisher in after the run of 16, 17 in part of 18. Black Widow further wanted to clarify, I don't mind Clark growing the game. If it fills a seat, whether a good reason or not, it opens them up to the beautiful game. Hopefully they leave wanting more action, or for that matter, again, Widow, more access to these players, for heaven's sakes. We're not going to bite them.
Well, right. And I guess another way I could clarify it too is if it starts at the top with Caitlin Clark, it then trickles down to everybody else is more of the point I was trying to make. Because if you watch Caitlin Clark, then you get to see other players that play the game. So maybe you come in watching Caitlin Clark, but then you go out and you watch Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu. There's so many other players. Cameron Brink was a young player who's going to be an up-and-coming star eventually. So my point is there's a trickle-down theory from Caitlin Clark to everybody else.
Yeah, definitely. Once more, again, folks, as a reminder that, again, this is the Press Row WNBA lockout special. Tom Albano had a very funny quip in our chat over the past couple of hours, I should say. One quick clarification. Thank you to Ribbit and Sauce. Grunwell, Nick's GM, is who it was at this rate.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Jaro further wanted to say that he said that Caitlin Clark helps increase the numbers by 4 times over. And Glenn says, you want to see who moves the needle? Look at the WNBA card sales. There is Callan than everyone else, which, by the way, I've not seen the cards in a long time. I think the last time I bought cards, Glenn, it was done by the Rittenhouse Card Company, who I had never heard of until 2008.
I'm looking this up because I haven't seen WNBA cards in God knows how long. It's now
Same.
Panini. Panini America is now the exclusive
Okay.
manufacturer.
All right.
Yeah, I haven't seen I've never opened a pack of trading cards for
I don't know where mine are at, sadly, but I have a few boxes of them from the '08 season, I think, in my collection somewhere. I used to be a big card collector too, like Nick is too.
Yeah, like I was a baseball memorabilia card collector. I have a lot of signed baseballs and stuff. I'm curious to see what from the W perspective, how those cards do in value. Those you would need more of the star players, I think. What else we got here? Card sales mean nothing because the high-end collectors only collect Clark because they think she's the only player of value. Yeah, I that one I agree with, because in a card collecting perspective, and I know this because I've done a lot of card collecting, is you look for the high sell value cards always. And I know this from a baseball perspective. Like I'm a Yankee fan. I have Mariano Rivera. I have his autograph on a baseball. Okay. I have Derek Jeter's autograph. I'm a Yankee fan. I know the high sell value things and I hold on to them. So that is a correct point, that card sales don't necessarily mean the value.
I would actually add on to this with moving the needles is, and I think though it is, let's be fair. I think it's a fair point though, what Glenn brought up though, gang. Let's also keep in mind though, what's the other big seller? Jersey sales.
Yes, I would say jersey sales are more of a representation than card sales. Jerseys, because you can buy them from any arena that you go to, and they keep track of
Buy them online. You can buy them at the game. You can buy them off, at if any Dick's Sporting Goods or Shields has WNBA merch in their collections.
I'm gonna look that up just to see if we can find
there
WNBA
you go, Nick.
jersey sales.
Yarrow's also a Yankees fan too. There you go.
I'm trying to see. Okay, top jerseys. This is as of 24-25 season. Caitlin Clark is number one. That's not a surprise though, because she's the big name.
Yeah.
Angel Reese, surprisingly, at the top. Sabrina Ionescu, Kate Martin, Asia Wilson. And then the top teams, Fever, Sky, obviously that makes sense. Liberty, Aces, and the Seattle Storm.
Yeah, and Seattle is always going to be in the top 5, top 10, despite Sue Bird retiring after, her legendary career, though. And I think to either Black Widow or Blunt's point earlier, Seattle, Portland, those are major women's sports hubs. New York, New Jersey is a major hub. Again, Nick, Gotham FC is defending another NWSL championship come Saturday morning when they play Boston Legacy, which, by the way, is co-owned by Aaliyah Boston of the Indiana Fever. So, I mean, that's a very, I think, valid point that we're at here. Blunt further wanted to chime in, just saying, fellas, buying gear or memorabilia of any kind isn't moving a needle, though. Anybody can buy it hoping for a good resale. That doesn't make them an actual fan of the sport. What are your thoughts?
I would say jersey sales way more than cards. Because cards, you could, like they were saying before, you could buy your favorite player. You're looking for their autograph. You're looking for their jersey. So cards don't determine the needle at all. Jerseys, they do have some effect, because if something is high trending, you have players that are high trending, and you want to get a jersey, you're going to get the one that's highest trending right now. Or you're gonna get the big star because you want to wear the big star jersey. So I would say jerseys do have some effect based on who is hot, trending, playing good ball. So I think there is a difference there.
Unless you're me in San Diego and you're used to watching your favorite players get traded, and all you have to do is put your name on the back of the jersey. That way, I'm not getting traded from my favorite team.
No.
All right, let's see what else we have in the comment box here. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us here tonight. Black Widow for the rights. Seattle is going to sell well because of everybody wanting the 2-point queen Nika Mule's jersey, which, by the way, she's had no luck. By the way, she's had 2 ripped ACLs in 2 years, including playing back in Croatia. I really hope she's back to full strength. Glenn further wanted to say that Callan Clark's Panini royalty card sold for over $660,000. That's it?
No, that's a lot of money. For one card, that's a lot of money. Yeah, but again, that's not pushing the needle. That's someone who wants to buy their favorite player's card or who wants to own something of value as an investment. Because card collecting is an investment on top of owning your favorite players' cards and holding onto memorabilia. If you're a card collector, you're doing it more to hold a collection, and eventually you could sell the cards one day and get some value for it.
Glenn, we thank you very much for the for your thoughts. Thanks for the feedback about the show. Again, we'll probably be here for another hour because we're getting a lot of great responses. We're getting people involved. We also do a show similar to this, though, covering all sports every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. That's our lead show. We only do these shows sporadically when there's major news that we're following, which, by the way, there's been nothing further from either Andy Castabell or Alexa Phillip, who at this rate were, again, we had just read at the top of the hour concerning that Andy had written an article on Front Office Sports as we get close to hour 10 in roughly 10 minutes of time here that we're going to be on hour 10 of the negotiations between the WNBA Players Association and also the league front office. So, Glenn, we thank you for your patronage and for joining us here this evening. I wanted, though, Nick, to get to one more thread from Black Widow. They said that the league was the most sold sports merch for the holidays. Definitely like seeing more people wearing W jerseys. Love seeing an NWSL jersey out in the wild. And it is a special feeling to see, if I may, actually. If you can. There's the San Diego Wave FC jersey, which, by the way, Widow, has Shannon McMillan's name on the back, not Alex Morgan's name or any of the gazillion players who've left because of Jill Ellis, sadly, from my hometown franchise. So I have Shannon Mack's name on the back of it from the 99 women's national team. Yes, and I can also attest to that, though, as well, Black Widow, with the NFL being gone from San Diego. I have seen more and more Wave jerseys. I've seen Caitlin Clark jerseys. I have seen WNBA League hoodies and a lot more women's sports merchandise around San Diego ever since the Chargers left in 2017. Plus, we have the new MLS team here, too, so that's also been a very big thing. But it is, though, Nick, kind of interesting, though, when a market does pivot away from a sport that they lose, and you see more of that team's merch over the course now when you're out in public. I see more Padres and soccer gear around town than I see Dodger crap around my hometown finally after all these years.
By the way, before we continue also, if you're enjoying these streams and a lot of people are going to come and watch, we will do more of these because it seems like they do well every time we've come on to do extra streams. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel and you help us do a little bit more, that will really help us. YouTube.com/ETB Network. Quick plug. I'm not trying to throw things away here, but if you subscribe and help us grow, we will come and do more bonus streams because then we see that the audience wants to come in and watch, and we do a lot of these.
Trust us, we have had that on our storyboard about once we get to the 3,000 watch hour goal, which we're getting close to now. We're within 1,000 hours of that now. We have plans for a special bonus episode of our show where we would, hold like a Q&A basically and get everyone's thoughts about the sports world. But again, here's where you can find us on social media. We're at Prestro ETB. We're also at ETB Network and, of course, youtube.com/ETB Network. So again, if you like what we're doing here, folks, again, if you subscribe and help us out, we will do more of these shows, sporadically once we get to the 3,000 watch hour goal. But we thank you all again for taking time out of your late night Tuesday before you go back to the office tomorrow to be able to join us here and talk some women's sports and some WNBA basketball.
Let me scroll through some comments. So
Please do.
You guys are awesome. Thank you. I have a few Wave jerseys. I met Alex Morgan. There you go. Wow.
So Widow, I worked as a third-party writer the inaugural season when the Wave came here. And I got to interview her several times, and I'm like quivering. But of course, when you're a media member, as I've been for 18 years across various sports in my hometown, hey, no photos, no autographs, all that bullshit. But at the end of the day, though, Black Widow, Alex, I wrote this too. Again, I'll plug my Substack, though. Again, it's called Mr. Small Market on Substack. It's free of charge. Don't worry. I don't charge anybody to do my content. It's more of the perspective of a fan in a sport, though we are so overlooked by LA or even Vegas now, and sometimes by, other markets around San Diego, around where I live. And I wrote, though, when Alex retired, though, Widow, about covering her. First-class individual, answered every question, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, though, and how she really, got this market into liking soccer. We've had a very, very long soccer history here in San Diego, but Alex Morgan really pushed the boulder down the hill. Yeah, we had Foudy and Shannon Mack and Joy Fawcett with the WUSA era 25, 30 years ago, but nothing like it is now, though, here in 2026, though, when the Waves start their season against Houston. But Alex Morgan, long story short, great person, great player, even better human being as well. Let's get back to the nitty gritty here, though. Is there a scheduled update on the W meeting? Gary, we've been trying our best, but there's been nothing yet. We might, though, be getting our hourly update from either Alexa Philippou or Annie Costabel. Again, they've been really much on that right now. We have crossed the hour threshold, so we are now at 10 hours of this meeting from a Lower Manhattan hotel right now between both the WNBA players and the front office. Glenn agrees. Please, guys, do more. I am subscribed. I love your interaction. That is what we're all about here on our program. Widow further says, if you are on the East Coast, please go to bed. Nick is on the East Coast, sadly.
I'm a night guy.
So for those who are wondering, I work in sports broadcasting and announcing. I've been a public address announcer locally in my hometown for 18 years. I do minor league hockey. I do a lot of college sports. So I work in women's college basketball. Nick worked in late night radio, went to LIU, did college basketball there too. So we're sports nuts. We're late night junkies. So you got the right two guys, hopefully leading the way. Blunt Ferber says, Widow, I need to know if you can go to Dream Games. Please, let's go. Let's have some live meetups if you're going to WNBA games or if you're going to NWSL games. If you're supporting women's sports next season, let's do it. All right, Glenn, let's get back to what we got here. I do have a question, though, fellas. At what point can or does the league just restructure with scab players? Seems to me the older players are just trying to get their bag with saying, oh, it's for the future. I mean, sadly, Glenn, that would be a really, I think, major,
change.
Not a black guy, but that'd be a major nightmare for PR, I'd say, sadly. But I believe me, though, I get, but hey, I get it, though, because you've seen this, though, a lot of times with either the NFL in '87 with the scab players or what have you. I don't know, though, Nick, if the league or even the players would budge, though, but I do, though, understand, Glenn. Hey, I'm right there with you. I totally get your perspective. Believe me.
Yeah. I mean, I think of certain leagues, like when the NFL had their issues where they were almost going to have a lockout, when the whole referee situation, they use scab referees.
Oh, no, the Fail Mary.
Right. So in the NFL, that might work, okay? Because everyone watches the NFL. Sorry, Callan. But my point is, everyone's going to watch the NFL regardless of who's in the uniform and playing. The W, I think that would be much, much harder to represent if you're playing with scab WNBA players. And I don't know if other players would take too kindly to the fact that there were scab players. Well, women stand in solidarity and would not play regardless. Also, Clark would not play. No, you're 100% right about this one.
Bada bing, bada boom.
I think that all the women of the W stand together. Totally. 100%. And, we got another season ticket holder here.
All right.
I'm a season ticket holder, Valkyries, and if they bolster the league with young talent, and I am just as into it, I don't go to watch the old players who, quote, didn't move the needle.
There's a lot to be excited about, though, with the Valkyries. Now, Nick and I, though, Glenn, did take exception, though, with, in a way, because of the scheduling of Chase Center, because of the fact they chose tennis over a playoff run that the Valkyries got on. I mean, I get it, though, expansion team, you really can't, justify that. But did you make the drive to San Jose for the playoff game at SAP Center, Glenn? I'd like to know more about that if you did.
I mean, that would be amazing as a fan if you did make that drive. That's dedication.
Come on, Kathy. You want to do it.
But I don't think she's going to do it, though. 700 people watching now.
Let's see, what else do we have here? I think we may have missed one here. What else says, I get it, but it's late. It's only 11 p.m. out here on the left coast. Yes, it is. Let's see. What else do we have here? Interesting. Glenn is in Canada and flies down for home. So I'm guessing you're Western
Winnipeg.
Canada. Oh,
Winnipeg.
Smack dab in the middle of the country. So, wow, that's a lot of dedication.
What will be the TV rating for tomorrow's game?
Bravo.
Wait, what? TV rating for tomorrow's game? Oh,
no games just yet.
What?
There's no games yet.
Yeah, I was going to say there's no games yet.
We're hoping to have a season, though.
Yeah, that's true. We are hoping to have a season. $6.99. It's getting late, guys.
I know, Gary. It is. I mean, hour 10.
Give it up for hour 10.
Yes.
Man.
Oh, USA versus Senegal.
Oh, for the world. The FIBA World Cup for the women. Let me go MD and check that for you real quick. Give me like 30 seconds.
I'll keep taking in comments. In reality, I think when a deal is reached, WNBPA caves further down. WNBA is just waiting to see how far they will go. This I agree with 1,000%. 1,000%. Because
100.
like we said earlier, that the WNBPA is going to have to take a haircut. Regardless, it's just a matter of how much pain they want to take on the negotiating standard.
MD, for what you were wondering, it'll be USA Senegal, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. And I believe, Nick, it should be on TNT.
Yeah, I think it's on TNT. Let's keep going. Up over 1 million viewers,
maybe.
Other comments here. Favorite.
I'm sorry. Favorite player is Caitlin ... Chen, who was drafted by Golden State for Golden State from UConn.
By the way, speaking of Caitlin Clark, did you see the gaffe that Bruce Pearl made the other day on CBS?
Yes.
Do you think he did that on purpose, or do you think he's just a bad guy?
Both.
Actually, I guess both can be true.
Way to go, Bruce.
I
actually met Bruce Pearl, believe it or not, when I was in college.
That's a scary thought.
A little bit of a stick in the mud.
That's not surprising to me either.
He did, though, pose for a picture with me, which was nice, but yeah, okay.
Next one down here. I hope they strike before caving. I'm with you. I do hope they strike before.
I know we're trying to again catch up with either Annie Castaball or Alexa Philippou. There's been still nothing yet at this rate.
I'm wondering if they just gave up and went to sleep.
Nope. Annie Castaball has put out the entering the 10th hour tweet with Chris Farley shaking at a diner.
Oh God, it's one of those situations, isn't it?
Oh man, yikes.
One thing the league has to do is structure itself into legitimate cities. We sell out the Chase
Center every game, but I go to Chicago or Connecticut and only 5,000. And sadly, Glenn, that whole thing with the Sun is very much a front office debacle by the WNBA. Nick and I talked about this on Press Row months ago. The Celtics literally were going to buy the club from the Mohegan Sun Indian tribe, move them to Boston, and the league said no. And said, no, we want to move a team to Houston.
Yep.
Which made no bleeping sense.
That's because the WNBA doesn't make sense at times. Or they don't, I shouldn't even say that. They don't think logically.
But also, Glenn, Chicago has never figured out their arena situation. They've gone from Rosemont at Allstate Arena, where they shared it with the Chicago Wolves of the AHL for a long time. They went to Wintrust Center. They have the sporadic game with, when they play Indiana, when it comes to the United Center, for example. So, but also, Glenn, it goes to a point, though, I had earlier, too. The Sky have been a poorly run franchise from day one. When you lose as many players as like a Pondexter, a Tamara Young, EDD, it's awful. Even with winning a championship 5 years ago, that burden of that, like that dark cloud is still over that franchise. And Glenn, I agree in a way, though, about the Houston market folding. Now, again, that is the cream, the cream of the crop, though, with the 4 straight titles to open up the league history. But I also think, though, which in a way doomed markets early on, like Houston, Detroit, Portland, and Miami and Orlando, was when they made that dumb loophole, that dumb rule that the NBA teams couldn't own the franchises after, I believe, 2006.
Yeah.
And that's what killed a lot of the franchises. And I think now, though, Glenn, because of the TV contract that's there with the $2 billion deal with the NBA signed, whatever it is, and whatever the league's going to get, with that corporate sponsorship, the rise of the game, all the new players, and the backing now of owners who actually want to take a swing at owning a franchise, that now I think that markets that had failed before, like Cleveland and Detroit and Houston, that I think now they will succeed. It's just a matter of how good, it's just a matter of, will they actually deliver on that?
So I just looked this up for clarity. The NBA owns 42% of the WNBA. 42%. So they still have a significant say in the NBA. Now, they pay most of the finances for the W to keep it running efficiently, but the W's got to run on its own. Now, you hear these dumb rumors that, like, oh, well, the WNBA could go out on its own and run its own league. It doesn't need the NBA. Really? They couldn't. And this is no offense to the WNBA, but if they didn't have the NBA backing, they might go bankrupt if they didn't have some backing from the NBA. Right?
Yeah, so we are officially at hour 10 as Andy Castable put out that GIF. MD wanted to, I think, say regarding the botched sale of the Sun to Boston, it does when they could have sold the franchise for more money, which again, in turn, led us down the rabbit hole about, well, the league's going to pick the next market for them and go to Houston as opposed to Boston. MD Ferber says that the league would like to add another team owned by an NBA owner like the Cavs, Philadelphia, Detroit. Houston makes sense. Where again, Philadelphia is going to be owned by Josh Harris. I can confirm that for sure.
Yes.
The Detroit franchise, I believe, will be owned by the Pistons ownership group, and I do believe that Dan Gilbert will be the owner of the new Cleveland franchise too. So I think all four of those teams, though, MD, will have the NBA backing now, as opposed to how they kind of left those markets high and dry all those years ago.
So it looks like the WNBA expansion team in Detroit will be owned by Tom Gores.
Tom Gores already, I believe, has ownership stake of the
Pistons.
Dan Gilbert is the confirmed owner for the Cleveland franchise too in 3 years' time.
Well, it also says the ownership group is going to include his wife and partners, including Detroit Lions owner Sheila Ford.
That makes sense.
And also Lions quarterback Jared Goff, and Basketball Hall of Famers Grant Hill and Chris Webber, and also the Pistons vice chair Arn Tellem. And
can confirm that Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment, Josh Harris and David Blitzer, will be owning the Philadelphia franchise too.
And then I just want to look up the Cleveland. So it's Rock Entertainment Group, which is Dan Gilbert.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
At the Rocket Arena.
Oh, the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
Yeah, now it's just Rocket. Now it's just the Rocket Arena now, I believe, in Cleveland, I think.
Because I think he changed the name of the company for the 10 millionth time.
Yes.
Oh, man. Woo.
We're still going here. We are not going to be leaving you guys in until we hit the midnight hour on the West Coast. MD Ferber says, so the $750 million expansion fees between the three teams makes sense too, apparently.
Wait, that's each, or that's $250 million each?
750, I'm guessing between the three teams.
Oh, between the three teams. So he's saying 250
each. For the expansion team, yeah.
Which in today's day and age, that's actually not a lot. Believe it or not. To get in on a team.
Absolutely brutal.
I want to look that up just for clarity. I just want to see. Oh, it is 250 million each. Okay. Interesting. It used to be 50 million back when the Valkyries came in.
Right.
We wrestle discussing if it is Clark who moved the needle. We'll look at the expansion and the following the league has gained, all after her arrival, not before. It's a fair point.
That's a very, very, very good point.
I'm not, and again, let me clarify. I'm not saying there aren't other players that could grow the league and be stars. But you notice once Caitlin Clark came in, the sport has taken off on a wild trajectory up.
By the way, I think Alexa Phillip, who may have tapped out, she did not put out her hourly tweet that we are now at hour 10.
Well, do you blame them?
No. I already finished my coffee.
I don't think you're going to see anything tonight.
I don't think so, and I'll be curious though if we sign off and something freaking happens, knowing our luck, because that's just like our luck. Like everything always breaks after the show ends. I need to step out for just a minute though, Nick, but maybe tell folks though what else we have coming up on Wednesday for our program, but also maybe again entice the folks though again. This has been probably, Nick, our most socially interactive PR episode in 39 tries here on playback, or not even on playback, but between playback and on ETB here on YouTube.
Hey, you got so excited you almost forgot the platforms.
No, we never had such interaction on playback. We had trolls and spam bots in our playback chat. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's true. You're right. But check us out while Callan steps away for a second. YouTube.com/ETB Network. Please go like and subscribe if you haven't liked and subscribed yet already. We are trying to hit our watch hours goal as we continue to grow. We're trying to get to 4,000 watch hours so we get our page monetized, so we can do more of these sit and live stream chats when big breaking news happens, like a WNBA lockout or strike, I should say, and all these other things. We're not just WNBA. We do all sports. Our show, Press Row, really digs into the business and media of sports. So make sure you come check us out and you really get involved with the show and our network, youtube.com/ETB Network. All right. A few more comments here. I think it's likely the meeting is over, but WNBA has kept it under wraps due to previous leaks. With no deal in place, we should see a statement for the WNBPA tomorrow. What do you think?
I think Black Widow is super spot on. I think that now I'm going to go actually check and see if they put out some kind of a statement regarding anything on from their social account on their IG story. Let's see what we have here.
While you're doing that, Glenn, I broadcast 18 years in pro hockey, and believe me, the star sells the product. That is the bottom line.
Bada bing, bada boom.
I can't argue it. He's right. Where do you broadcast? Who do you broadcast for, Glenn? I'm curious.
So the only thing that the WNBPA has put out was the tweet from Congresswoman Sydney Kamlager Dove, and it was a quote tweet of the Democratic Women's Caucus that the caucus had sent a letter to the league urging them to negotiate in good faith with the players' union to reach a fair CBA. The season is right around the corner and no deal has been made, so we followed up. And she listed her entire thing regarding her thoughts on it. And also, Nick, the WNBPA's social avatar on IG is a hourglass with the sand running out of it.
Oh, that's been up for a couple days, at least. Yeah, I don't see this ending tonight. And I think you're going to see a pretty nasty statement from the WNBPA later today.
Oh, that would not surprise me one damn bit if that happens.
Because it almost feels like the ownership was stalling slightly.
Oh, here we go.
I'm retired now, but worked for the Oilers and the Canadians. Last few years, I went back to broadcasting radio. Oh, wow.
Cape Breton, where Marc-Andre Fleury was there. Good times.
Hey, that's awesome.
Hell yeah, baby. Love to see it. Fellow hockey announcer here in San Diego in the American Hockey League.
So, I don't know anymore. It's just, this situation is getting odd, and it's almost like the owners are trying to purposely make the players look bad.
which again which has gone to a point though, Nick, that we've had though for the last several months. The owners aren't the ones that we pay our money to go watch perform.
Right.
This is very much the player-driven league here at this rate, and I don't know at this rate, where really where things stand at this rate. Again, once more again, folks, Callan, McClurg, Nick Morgasen here, towards the tail end of our coverage for this evening, though. But once again, a just major thank you again to the entire our viewership, our viewers out there again have been joining us here. We're trying our best to keep this conversation flowing here for the next probably half an hour, 45 minutes or so here as we look at where things currently stand regarding the WNBA lockout at this rate. Nick, to go back to what we had talked about on PR last Wednesday, but again, we talked about the joint letter signed by Brianna Stewart and Kelsey Plum. The letter suggested a major breakdown in communication between the union's administrative team and the actual players. Could the strike, though, Nick, be a result of union unity or a defensive move by leadership to quiet internal criticism of the Players Association and or their standing?
If they go on strike, it's because the owners are not budging, and they're just not going to play until the owners come to the table with fair value. It is, I guess, in technicality, it would be because they're forming a union together, and the players are going to work together and say, hey, if we're not getting our fair value, we're all just not going to play. We'll go off to Unrival. We'll go off to all those other leagues, and we'll play. But at the same time, are all these players going to want to start traveling internationally again, which they're trying to avoid because of the whole situation that happened with Brittany Griner in Russia? So do they really want to do that again? They obviously won't go to Russia anymore because of all the civil unrest going on there currently, but they're going to have to find other places to play, or they're going to have to do other things to supplement income, which they need to take in. So you see a lot of them doing podcasts now. You see a lot of them doing media, digital media, or doing brand deals and all that stuff. But if a strike is more for player unity than it is to protect the league itself.
Glenn wanted to also say AHL, huh? I worked for Fredericton in that league, radio play-by-play. Would love to meet you when I'm in town in 3 weeks. I think we're at home at some point in 3 weeks, I want to say, for a home game in San Diego. I have to double check the schedule.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Been there 10 years.
Dang.
I know. We're chugging along, folks. Trust us.
And we have a show to do later today.
We have a show later to do today with our entire, as Nick pointed out while I was out for a minute, though, that, again, our show covers everything sports business and sports media. But as we said, though, I mean, if you folks, enjoy what we're doing here again, is, if there's an appetite, we'll come here and do like another bonus hour, though, once we, cross that 3,000 hour watch hour goal. Who really knows? MD wanted to make a nice little comparison, Nick, though. Case in point, 2011 lockout. Lost one preseason game, then a deal was struck. Free agency was a frenzy, but they did not miss a regular season game. CBA can be worked out, and everything else can be accomplished. That's where I think, MD, that we're getting a little nervous, I'd say, at this rate, because we're of the belief here on, in our own thoughts here, that we're of the belief, though, that we're losing more than just regular season games. Like, this might be like a baseball lockout, Nick, in 22, where I think we lost a week of games. I want to say they all got made up. But I think, though, that, yes, it's fair, though, to look at where other sports have gone, though, when it comes to a lockout of some type. But I think that the longer this goes, and that we have not heard a whole lot of what has gone on, though, tonight. Again, it's now hour 10 of the meeting. So, and they did, furthermore, that MD says they did that in 1 month.
Yeah, but I just want to say one thing, though. The NFL is content king when it comes to sports. And it's just one of those things. I see that comment. We'll get to that in a second. But the NFL has way less games than most leagues, okay? They have 17 games. They can't afford to miss games. That's why you see the NFL is more desperate to negotiate when they have a labor situation, because when you have 17 games, you need to play every single game to get the revenue needed to get through. Not saying the W plays a heck of a lot more games, but what do they play? 48?
44.
44? Okay. And so they still need to play games because they need to make revenue, but 17 compared to 44 is a different animal when it comes to it.
All right. So one update again. Thanks, Black Widow. Per Threads, Alexa Philippou writes that she responded to somebody 5 minutes ago. She is still on the sidewalk, saying she will be hurting tomorrow. I wonder why.
Well, because you've been sitting outside the offices for 10 hours.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Glenn's gonna be in town for when the Pods play the
Padres home opener.
Our home opener is actually with the Tigers. Actually, on March 26th.
Yeah, because the Yankees actually are playing opening weekend against San Francisco.
Yeah. I mean, either way, nice. I hope to be at one of the games that weekend, Glenn. So we'll see what happens. Further, Glenn does right, though. The league is growing exponentially. We all saw what happened in Major League Baseball after the strike. It was hard to win back the fan base. I mean, and that's sadly, Glenn, you as a baseball fan know. I know as a baseball fan. Nick knows as a baseball fan. I mean, sadly, as a fan of the W and the MLB, Glenn, all of us are shit out of luck when at the end of the season.
I mean, we're looking at potentially 2 lockouts between the W lockout, the MLB lockout. Can you imagine if those 2 lock out at the same time? How crazy that would be.
Think about that, but God, we're kind of heading down that rabbit hole, aren't we?
Well, Major League Baseball is definitely going to lock out at some point. The players are going to go on strike at some point. Okay. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, I think. And if the meeting is taking 10 hours or 11 hours, then that means that they're not agreeing at all whatsoever. They're just sitting in a room desperate, trying to get a deal done. No.
I mean, they're trying so damn hard. I agree.
Because would you sit in a room for 10 hours if you weren't desperate enough to try to get a deal done? No. You want a deal done so you can get your season up and rolling. You're already delaying everything because you're past the date. So now things are going to get pushed back regardless. Now, the season starts when officially?
May 8th, I believe, is opening night.
What you said May 8th?
Yes.
Alicia
Clark responded to a meme as of 40 minutes ago on Threads, no leaks.
Yeah, no one wants to talk. I find this very interesting.
Because of those damn NDAs, sadly.
Oh, wait. She's in the room. That's right. I forgot about that. She's in the room for the meeting.
Yes. I forgot about that.
Media rights deal increased fourfold. Necessity will get this done. Too much to lose.
I agree. There is too much to lose. Because, Nick, let me go back to the horse I have beat down in the past. For all of the positive, not even that, for all of the publicity that the league has gotten. Again, that's good publicity, and I always live by the credo, any publicity is good publicity. Good, bad, ugly, or indifferent.
Yeah, but they're killing it, though, right now.
And that goes to my point, though. If, in fact, this league locks out, all of that goes right out the window.
They're absolutely killing it. They're blowtorching it right now. The good PR they got from the WNBA finals, the playoffs, all the big names playing. They are blowtorching the good PR they got because of these lockout negotiations.
1,000%.
And I'm just looking up on social media to see just if players are on different platforms, just seeing if they're saying anything. But
I mean, part of me probably is going to be that they're probably talking about Bam's 83-point game more than about the lockout.
And you know what? Like, I just don't understand it. I mean, which is why neither will make the move to lockout or strike. No, I disagree. I don't think it's going to be status quo. You have to remember, MD, that they're at a point of no return right now when it comes to the season. They can't just remain status quo. Callan and I have seen this song and dance 5 or 6 times already in the past, 5 or 6 months already?
Yep.
There's no more status quo. They can't keep moving the goalpost. Pun
I was just going to
intended.
say that. I mean, again, MD Sally, the more that we wait, the more and more that we lose days on the calendar for free agency, training camp, expansion draft, first year player draft to begin. Maybe even perhaps, regular, the threat of losing any game. And I would even say, though, to MD's point earlier about the lockout with the NFL, you even lose one preseason game, you're fucked.
Well, it's money out of your pocket. But at the same point, you really can't compare this to the NFL because, one, the NFL, the ratings are the top of the sports world. Everyone watches the NFL. I know, not you, but a good portion of the world watches the NFL. They can't afford to lose games. The amount of money that the NFL media rights deals have, and I'm just going to, for context's sake, just look up the deal just to give you a comparison.
Yeah, and while you do that, Nick, Glenn further says, totally agree with you both. Both sides have a lot to lose, but the players have seen the growth. They can't afford to destroy everything they have wanted to build.
Right, but I don't think it's the players' fault, is
No.
what we're also getting at. I agree with you in one aspect, but in the other aspect, they're trying to benefit from all the hard work that they've put in.
That and I also think, though, Glenn, they've been handcuffed, they've been shackled and tied to a chair. with
The NDAs. Do I have to say it again? The NDAs, which don't allow them to talk publicly?
Yeah, and by the way, that actually, and again, that was a video that we found on Twitter during the course of one of our shows 2 weeks ago where Natasha Cloud went off, scorched earth, like Collier did, and literally said that I would say more, but we signed we players signed NDAs.
I'm surprised
which again, I have never heard any league ever do that to their players.
I'm surprised she talked as much as she did, knowing that information came out.
She did, and it was like trying to, in a way, maybe circumvent or get around it a little bit, like, at the roundabouts.
You have to be very careful with NDAs, though, because they're usually very ironclad. They tell you what you can't say. Sometimes you can't even walk around the bush, so to speak, and say certain things because they will sue you for that, depending on certain things you say. All right. I looked up the NFL media side, $110 billion. Now you understand why I say you can't lose games when it comes to the NFL in a 17-game season. Think about the amount of money. You're losing $11 billion on 1 week if you miss 1 week of games. Okay. Now, I'll look up the WNBA media deal. I guarantee you it's not going to be $110 billion. I'll tell you that right now.
I think it's $2 billion, I want to say.
So it's 11 years, $2.2 billion. You see the difference we're talking about here? No disrespect to the WNBA because they are picking up the numbers and growing. But the NFL has a lot more to lose if they lose 1 week of games. The W does too, no doubt. But they're not at the same risk that the NFL is. They're not.
Nick, do you think that there's maybe a chance they maybe get to a middle ground percentage when it comes to the revenue? Maybe 20%, 22%, 25% that satisfies the players' need for a win while allowing the league to maintain their cautious growth model by chance? Or is that also out the window and hung out to dry?
I think that's hung out to dry because how many times have the players have said, we originally won 30%. The owners almost laughed them out of the room when they asked for 30%. Then they knocked it down to 26%. They still laughed them out of the room. And then the owners came back with like 13%, which the players laughed the owners out of the room. So the two sides just can't agree with one another currently.
Yeah, and I think that's what's killed. I think that's what, in a way, has killed this whole entire ordeal is just the fact that, it's been ugly. It's been a little sleazy, a little bit out of control.
I told you, it feels like snake oil salesman.
Pretty much.
Because the owners are basically telling you, they've admitted it publicly, basically in the negotiations and everything we hear. We are offering what we want, and if you don't like it, we are going to sit here until you accept our deal. That's basically what they've said.
I mean, it's like that one SpongeBob episode, Gary, you're going to eat your dessert and you're going to like it.
I mean, I don't know what else you can really do. The stud buds are another story. I don't go to see them play. I want to see the youth. Well, I want to be along for the growth in the future. Goes back what I said off the top. Older players want the money, but their time runs out.
Before their time runs out.
I mean, that's fair. Veteran players don't make a lot of money either in the league. They're not fairly compensated. I have to look up like what the highest salaries in the WNBA right now, because I tell you right now, it's probably in the 200,000 range. I think.
Gotta be.
Let's see. Okay, Jackie Young of the Aces is the highest paid player, earning $252,000. That's the highest paid player. Think about that. They do deserve the money. No doubt. They deserve the money. But your highest salary player in the entire league is $252,000?
Please.
I'm going to, just for, because I know it's a laughable statement, but let's look up the NBA's highest salary, shall we?
$750, I would say.
Let's see.
Wait,
So
for
20
minimum? Wait, minimum or for like max or for?
No, I'm talking about highest like salary somebody makes.
Oh,
Steph Curry is the highest salary at $59.6 million. So you have Curry at 59.6. You have Embiid, who barely plays, making $55 million. You have Jokic, who plays hard every single night, $55 million. Giannis makes $54 million, injury prone. And Durant, $53 million. Which is crazy. Crazy, but these guys make. But the NBA turns profit way more than the W does. So just read a few more comments here. The league has never turned a profit. I disagree. I don't know if that's the case. Do we know if that's the case?
yeah, not that I am fully aware of right now. Well, I mean, they obviously turned some profit if now they triggered that 8% or the $8 million.
Yeah, they had to have turned some profit because they wouldn't be. Profit sharing is based on profits. So let's see, the WNBA historically operated at a loss. However, by early 2026, reports indicated that the league is turning a profit. Yes, we know. We know it's subsidized by the NBA. We got that. But the NBA, the W has finally turned a profit in 26. I'm not saying it's a significantly huge profit.
But it's something. It's a starting point, at least, if they actually want to get this thing off the ground and running.
But he is right. HCF is right that for the most part, they've operated at losses because they just don't have the money to build up revenue. They just don't have it. But now with more brands, more big names, more sponsor revenue, getting TV deals, they're finally able to do more things to make profit. I'm not saying it's a lot. It could be a couple million for all I care. But they are starting to turn it around.
Whoa, interesting.
Someone is live streaming outside the building. A bunch of reporters still sitting outside waiting.
Man.
Just quickly through some of the comments.
Nothing new at the moment. Goodness gracious, man.
CBA will be completed by Friday. No lost events or gigs. I don't know if I agree with that yet.
Let's hope so. Oh, yikes.
This year alone, yes, they finally got a profit. Yes. W makes no money. Disagree. Why would they trigger profit sharing if they're not making money?
Exactly.
That doesn't make any sense. If they weren't making money, they wouldn't trigger profit sharing for the players at all. Let's see what else. They lose $40 million. Show me that. Show me the proof that they're losing $40 million a year. There is no proof of that. Right?
Yeah. Private entities as well. They don't have to show their net gains or losses either.
Tim, produce the numbers that show that they're losing $40 million a year.
Yeah, quick getting information from Clay Travis, maybe. How about we do that?
If you can show me a document that shows me they're losing $40 million, I will say you're right, but it's not out there. All right. WNBA only owns 42% of the league. Rest is owned by investors. I'm going to look that up. I want to make sure that's the NBA.
I was going to say, I think that sounds right, but I think it's more of the NBA. I want to say, but I think that is a factual statement, though. Yes.
The NBA does not solely own the WNBA, but it is the controlling primary partner. The ownership is currently structured with roughly 42% owned by NBA team owners. So that's where it is.
I feel like we talked about that too at one point during the course of the last several months, I want to say, at this rate. Yeah.
Just going through some other stuff here. They want to give the revenue sharing, but the players want revenue sharing before the bills. Again, they are receiving money because of profit sharing. What does that have to do with before the bills being paid? Right?
Mm-hmm.
That has nothing to do with before the bills being paid. They have to be fairly compensated. They are the brand. They make the money for the league. The owners don't. Okay? The players are the reason why the owners make money, not the other way. Like the show, dudes, please stay objective, unlike most creators on this platform. Okay. Yeah, like no disrespect, but you all don't have all the info you think you do is common knowledge across all WNBA podcasts. What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? We're pointing out the information based on what's out there. We don't, Callan, you and I don't come on here and just spew out random stuff. Right?
Yeah, precisely. I was looking over if there was anything new from USA Today. Apparently, one of their writers, Sydney Henderson, had put out a article, but this was nothing really new from her earlier reporting at around 3 a.m., but this was also written on Tuesday. So nothing new still on the home front for where things are currently at this rate with where they're at. I mean, we're getting close to hour 11. We're getting close to getting out of here, too, at the top of the hour with where things stand, though. Again, this was somewhat of a date, I would say probably forced upon the players in a roundabout way, but regardless, a March 10th date was set by the league front office of the WNBA to try to get a new CBA deal done when it comes to getting operation underway for the 2026 season, which again is semi right now teetering on being in limbo at this rate.
By the way, someone posted the temperature in New York now where they're sitting outside, where the WNBA reporters said it's 14 degrees outside in New York.
Oof.
I mean, it's cold, but the WNBA negotiations are hot.
Very hot.
But you're not going to see a deal done. Here's the thing. If it doesn't happen in the next 20-ish minutes when we're done, we're going to be back live at 2 p.m. Eastern for our show because we don't do enough around here for the network. But if you like these streams, like we said, please subscribe. Everyone that's in our YouTube section, comment, subscribe, tell us some topics you want to hear so that we could do more of these things.
This has been very fun. This is one of our more interactive programs that we've had, though. Obviously, we value everyone's thoughts. I mean, we may disagree, though, but that's the beauty of the industry that we're in. That's the beauty of sports as a whole. But there's your link to go and like and subscribe and join us. If you like these, we'll do more of these when time allows us. Again, I've had a lot of free time with just my work schedule lining up and stuff. Again, we do this program that you're watching every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, every Wednesday, in the late morning, early afternoon on the East Coast. So again, we talk all things sports business and sports media from our field. Again, I've worked in sports broadcasting and media for 18 years. Nick has done his time in political radio and sports radio for the last, decade plus. So we really, again, want to be here for everybody out there who's a sports fan to give you a bit of a inside look, though, at how about how sports business and media does, in fact, operate here. Glenn further says, no matter the topic, the interaction makes the show. You guys get kudos for working the chat. I mean, Glenn, we don't really have a chat box this lit, as the kids would say, but this has been very fun, though, to be able to do so. Black Widow has one more update. Some guy named Venom is just sitting outside the building. Nothing new. I don't think there's going to be a deal. They think they just wait. They're just waiting for a spokesperson to leave a comment.
Which is
would they give a comment? That was the only thing.
Well, that's what you and I said before. You and I didn't think a deal was ever going to get done. Thank you, Black Widow.
We appreciate you guys again. Thank you.
A deal was never going to get done. Can we just admit a deal was never going to get done tonight? I think that was all semantics. That date again.
I would mainly hope that it was that whatever has gone down the night. I think we all would agree here. As long as it was done in a civil, professional manner, no name calling or mudslinging or whatever we've seen, though, from both sides of the aisle over the past 160 plus days. I think that's my only hope here for that whole thing. I don't know, Blunt. I would hope not too.
I mean, I'll check my phone really quick since I'm in New York. I have the Weather Channel app on me because I'm just curious to see what how cold it is.
And even then, Blunt, the photo we showed of the riders, they weren't really dressed for like the cold weather either, which was even more startling. Unless the hotel lets them come into the lobby, maybe.
I mean, my phone on Long Island says it's 49 degrees, so I don't know where they're getting 14 from.
I think Alicia Clark laughing at memes is a good sign, though.
You don't know that. You don't know that for sure.
We don't know, but at least there's some kind of. It's like voting for the Pope, as Ramona Shelburne told Alexa Philippou earlier in the evening about
every 6 years.
If what is it? If there's black smoke, there's no Pope. If there's white smoke, there's a new Pope.
I'll look that up really
quick.
So
because I think Alexa said if they come to an agreement, they have to light up the Empire State Building orange. Set up a tent with a stove. Please be careful.
Yeah. On my way out shortly, what does failure to get a deal done mean to the future of the league? After 29 years, you can't implode the 2 years of success.
Oh,
it's a good comment.
Sadly, Glenn, that'd be like W gonna W.
Yeah.
The sky's wet, or the sky's blue, water's wet. The W being the W.
I'm trying to find this information. I can't find the answer. Let's see.
Oh no.
Oh, white smoke signals that a new pope has been elected.
That's what I thought. Black smoke means there's been no pope elected. So if the Empire State Building isn't orange by the time that midnight hits on the West Coast, then we know that we're not getting anything tonight.
Yeah, we're not. We're not getting anything.
But I mean, believe me, folks, we've been trying our best to kind of keep tabs on where things have been, though, the night. Again, we really, I hate to be a broken record as much as Nick is. No deal, but at least I'll get a new watch. Black Widow, if it's not a Rolex, I demand you go talk to Vince Kozar and get a refund for your tickets.
I agree. Okay, go ahead.
If Vince is still even a part of the franchise, still as the team president, I've known him for a long time. But I was going to say though, Nick, again to everyone in the chat box, again, that's Blunt, MD, Glenn, Black Widow. Who else has been in the box tonight? HCF,
MD,
Storm, Haro. Again, thank you all so much again. We're still going to be here for another 15 minutes. But again, we really wholeheartedly, sincerely appreciate you guys for hanging out here. Christy Wilson also hanging out too from our from our network family of hosts. Again, we're going to keep saying that here because again we don't really get enough interaction like this. So we really thank you guys so much. Blunt says I listened to Siri about the weather. I like that. That's good.
Be careful, you might order something by accident.
Like all those horror stories of like parents who don't like sign out of their Amazon account and their children go ham.
Yeah. Speculation.
They have 15 more minutes before a statement. Maybe.
Only reason I'm still up.
Hey, Widow, I don't blame you. I mean,
that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. We're waiting to hear a statement.
but I would hope, though, that there'll be that. I think to Widow's point, though, Nick, it would be a massive disservice. And I know that they don't really care about us fans or media members like Alexa Philippou and Annie Costabel. But for the sake of humanity, though, you've been in that damn room doing what? I don't know what the HE doubles hockey sticks has been going on, though. You've been in there for almost 11 hours.
What the hell could you be talking about?
What in the world are you talking about?
I mean, you're not talking about dinner plans in there.
I mean, they've already stopped serving alcohol, so you can't order more wine or beer.
And don't question that. Some of the women of the WNBA do like the drinks. Do you remember during the All-Star?
And this goes to the point I was going to get at, Widow. This makes the W look even more worse because there's been no updates. I mean, all we've had is the hour-long updates of Annie and Alexa. And he says, everyone else is asleep and we'll wake up tomorrow and make videos about the end of the WNBA world.
We threw out his name.
Oh, no, the WNBA is over because they didn't make a deal. Oh, no.
No, we won't go that far, MD. Trust us. We have a bit more, some more morals here on our platform, believe me.
Well, like I said, if it gets to 3 a.m., actually, speaking of, knocking at 3 a.m. I need sleep deprivation to be worth it. Just the LOL. Last time I stayed up this late, the Dodgers went 18 innings. Oh, the World Series.
We watched that game on playback TV too. So Blunt, I get where you're coming from. Trust me.
MLB would have an update every hour, even if it's great.
But Widow's right though, Nick. If this is any other league, even if this is the NHL or even if this is the NHL, Nick, or MLS, they'd be having updates.
No, it's true. You're right. I don't know why I'm surprised the WNBPA is not speaking up, to be honest.
That one is more shocking. And I only think because because NECA, the president, is a part of the meeting, they probably haven't said much because of that reason. But I am a little shocked that there's been nothing moving the needle when it's come to that over the past couple of hours here.
I mean, I'm just looking on my phone from Instagram just to see if anything is happened. Yeah, I see the hourglass. And then actually they have the congressman's tweet in their Instagram stories too. Take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, I feel like we had kind of talked a little bit about that recently. Christy Wilson says the WNBA being very secretive right now. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't think towards bad thing.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's a bad thing because it's almost like they don't want this saga to end. Really? Like, it's one of these weird things where you're just like, oh, well, we're going to hide it from the media to make the players look like the bad guys here.
Yeah, why?
But that's been this whole negotiation standard
That's brutal.
That the owners and Kathy Engelbert, they want to be the ones that make the players look bad. As Black Widow says, WNBA being so secretive is bad because it means their deal they are bringing is trash. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a case in point and fair.
1,000%. I mean, the more secretive that this goes, the more I get concerned.
I don't think there's an end to this anytime soon.
No, and mercifully, we're kind of at where we're at right now with things at this rate. Again, really not much else to update yet of where things stand. Nothing new on the WNBPA home front at this rate. Nothing new across social media still. It's okay. I mean, if it's if it's not a Rolex, Black Widow, if they're giving out an Apple Watch or a smartwatch, then I might be a little ticked. I'd love to get a new one, as Nick has his right there. It reads 2:48 a.m. on the East Coast.
It is 2:48 a.m. 12 minutes left to go. Over 700 people watching in here. Anyone have any other questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, please keep firing away. We are going to be here literally until the clock hits midnight out here on the left coast.
Insults, if they're nice.
Nah.
But wow, what a night. And we got no deal.
Yeah, no deal, but what a night for us, though. This has been great.
We'll do more of these since a lot of people are liking these little bonus hours or hours, multiple bonus hours.
Gee, we're going to put in 6 hours of work within the next 2 days.
Yeah, it's been a long couple of days, actually. And I still have shows I got to edit, too.
Yeah, nothing still new in regards to the earlier article that was put out by Annie Costabel of FOS within the hour. She wrote that at about 1 a.m. Eastern time, so 10 p.m. Pacific. Further, though, just making one tweak, though, that the meeting has now gone till is now beyond 2 a.m. Eastern. Again, they are based out of the Langham Hotel, blocks south of the NBA League office. Few details trickled out of the lengthy session. Again, the league had scheduled the deadline for today, March 10th on the West Coast on Tuesday, but only had come out in recent weeks. Again, once more, for those again wondering, Brianna Stewart, Alicia Clark, Nneka Ogumake, and Brianna Turner are the Players Union reps that are in the room. And we're joined by lawyers and admin from both sides alongside billionaire Liberty owner Claire Wu Tsai, who again is the wife of Joe Tsai, who is the lead owner of the New York Liberty, Brooklyn Nets, Barclays Center, and multiple NLL franchises in Southern California and in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see this getting done anytime soon. We're gonna sound like broken records. I don't see this. I think we're gonna have a strike, whether it's tomorrow or at some point in the next day or two. But it's been one of those fine lines. I should have listened to Black when gone to bed. Bam, surpassed Kobe at the free throw line. And the WNBPA has no updates. Just saying.
And somehow, some way, Team USA Baseball blunt lost to Italy in the World Baseball Classic, and Mark DeRosa had a major brain fart, and it may have cost them a chance to move on to the next round.
They are waiting on confirmation per Venom live stream. They might have left out the side door.
Now, how in the hell, Black Widow, does that not freaking surprise me?
Wait, reporters are up from their chairs. Yay!
Are we talking about the H word here? I hope not.
What?
The H word.
What H word?
The thing that you had last weekend.
Yeah.
Glenn says, I might be in the minority here, gang. I know, but in business, you make the best offer you feel comfortable with. Don't blame the owners for standing their ground if you can't blame the PA. It's a fight to the end. But believe me, Glenn, we are, Nick and I have long believed, though, that both sides in this whole thing are guilty as charged.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Totally.
Blunt says, how is nobody covering the side door? So now, Widow, I'm of the belief, though, if the reporters are out of their chairs, though, are they like now running down the street to try to get some comments now for their stories?
Oh, you mean like the paparazzi of old?
Yeah, don't remind me about that.
Oh, good grief. Well,
yes. Time out.
What?
Time out. We have 2 confirmed reports now on Twitter. Where's
From
Mr.
who?
Where is Mr. Patrick Starr at here? Dang it.
Oh, I got it.
All right. So here's what we have, though, folks, from both Alexa Philippou and Annie Costabel. Negotiations have appeared to have broken up for the night. Players were seen leaving the building right before 3 a.m. Eastern. Annie Costabel confirms that by saying update. Entering the 11th hour, players left out a side entrance, making no comment to the media as they left the hotel.
That's ridiculous.
Black Cadillac Escalades have left, and Black Widow confirms no players or no deal made.
Players left with no comment. Season is cooked. It might be.
Yikes.
I mean, the last thing I'll say, and we'll finish up on this because I think it's been a long enough night. And thank you to everybody who's hung around for 3 hours with us. They did all that negotiating with no outcome.
Thank you, Glenn, very much. We hope to catch you in a couple of weeks, maybe while you're in town.
Yeah. Big mistake on their part.
I could not agree more. To leave after 11 hours of negotiating they break off for the night and then not one comment gets made?
If they left the side door, will we get a WNBPA statement tomorrow for a strike?
I think so. You know what, Widow? Oh, if the league doesn't make a comment to the reporters still outside, that's a really bad look.
Agreed. Makes sense. Totally. How do you not make a statement?
Do we have to do 3 more hours of just covering this tomorrow as opposed to our scheduled show for PR?
We might have to make a little scheduling gap for this, but
oh man.
But it's not a good look. Let's put it that way.
Some are still sitting there, but most have packed up and left for the night.
Well, there's nothing else. If the reports are they left, there's no reason to stay there, right?
No, there isn't. My goodness gracious.
You know how we talked about how the miscommunication between the two sides is massive?
And there's your answer right there. Unfreaking believable.
While this was fun, I'd like to add these last 3 hours to daylight savings time.
Oh, believe me, I'm dragging a little bit too still from it.
These reporters need sleep. Yes, Christy, they do. And so do we. Even though we actually have to finish up some loose ends once this show is done.
So again, folks, to recap here in the final 5 minutes of our program here on Press Row, per double reports confirmed by both Andy Costabel and Alexa Philippou, after nearly 11 hours of negotiations tonight, the WNBA and WNBPA have broken up their talks for the night. Players were seen leaving the hotel right before 3 a.m. per Philippou's account, while Costabel further confirms entering hour 11, the players left out a side entrance and made no comment to the media as they left. And per reports from a unofficial live stream, per what Black Widow's been reporting in the chat box, players left in Escalades, and again, neither side appears to have made a statement. Players that left, not WNBA talking heads, possibly could still be there, per reports.
That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean they're going to make a statement.
Woof.
This is a bad look on both sides, not just one side.
That goes to Glenn's point about, and I agree. Yes, we may have been harping a lot, and I say this a lot actually as a disclaimer. We may harp a lot, though, folks, on the on the league side. But to Glenn's point, though, again, let's not blame the owners for standing their ground, though. If you can't blame the PA, that's a bad look, though. If you're going to leave up a side entrance, though, pull the hoods up and not talk to the media.
Oh, let me put the sunglasses on and the hood.
Sunglasses on, you name it. Like, come on now.
It's a bad look. Not to say anything. Just even say, all right, we're going to go back to the table tomorrow. You just got to say something.
Yeah.
How do you not say anything? That's a bad look.
It's disgusting.
But as we wrap it up here, if you want to throw up the banner just to let people know where we're going to be on tomorrow, if you have that. But next show is later today, believe it or not, at 11 p.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern. 6 years to the day that sports began to shut down for COVID-19 and the pandemic. Unbelievable, right?
I just reshared, or I'm resharing the latest and greatest ETB Small Market Edition episode in Substack form at 10 a.m. Pacific time before we take the air tomorrow. So we want to go and read more about the firsthand accounts of what it was like to be covering games during COVID. You can check that out, though, in a Substack article, again, free of charge on Mr. Small Market. That is the name of the Substack again is Mr. Small Market. Black Widow further wants to say, quick update, reporters are over analyzing a video outside at the moment. And I think zooming in on the Escalades, question mark.
I don't know what that means, but
trying to see if it was players who left or if it was maybe even something else.
I mean, I don't think there's much more we can really do tonight at this rate.
No, because we're gonna tie up a couple of loose ends and then come back for the program tomorrow. And then Black Widow says apparently there's still some WNBA staffers still there.
Well, they could just be cleaning up their own loose ends and leaving.
Or are they perhaps preparing their own statement to say that the players are full of shit?
Nice comment here from Glenn. I'd like to come in again tomorrow at 1
Central Time.
1 Central Time. See you then. Night, guys. And again, nice job. Nice job in entertainment tonight this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Glenn. We appreciate you, my man.
Possible negotiations.
They're writing it. They're taking a page out of the lounge book, and they're writing it on the back of a napkin.
Great show. Get some rest. Well, we are, because we have a show in
about 15 seconds.
We have a show in about 23 hours,
give or take. Yes.
So you guys got a bonus show tonight out of us for Press Row. So then it's time for the real episode tomorrow, where you get the expanded landscape of sports media and business. And I think there will be some W in there at some point. We'll get you an update. Thanks for this night, you all. Hashtag pay the players. Yes,
We
very much so.
agree.
So, as we said, that's it. YouTube.com/ETB Network. Follow the network at ETB Network. We'll have some announcements. We have some new stuff coming along the way for the network as well. So please like and subscribe. Whew.
We made it.
Anything in conclusion before we go as the clock now hits 3 a.m.?
No, just a massive thank you again to everybody who tuned in, from Christy, but again to Blunt Reality, Black Widow 2891, Glenn, everybody else who joined again. There's just so many comments, though, but I love to see this, though. But we will again, folks, see you folks in about 11 hours now, literally and figuratively.
Oh, shoot. I misdid my times. You're right. It is 11 hours. I was thinking 24. Shit.
But either way, folks, for Nick Morgasen, I'm Callan McClurg saying good morning. A little weird to say already. It is now 12:01 on the West Coast here on March 11th. So we will see you folks in 11 hours to do this all over again with more stories from the wide world of sports and sports business and media. We'll see you back here later today. But again, thanks for joining us here again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
See you around, everybody. Have a good night.